Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Gen Z Reviews. We're starting a little early today for our UK friend Random. Every time he's on, we try to start a little earlier because the times are pretty different. But yeah, it's always good. I like starting this early anyway. Just kind of, we're fresher in our brains or whatever else. So yeah, we're very excited though today. We're talking about a movie you shouldn't be too excited to talk about. I'm very curious to see what this panel has to say about this. Kyle is starting, based off what some stuff he posted promoting the stream. It makes it sound like he's not a fan, or maybe he is a fan. And then I know I'm not a fan. I know that for sure. And I know a lot of people really hate on Alien 3. But I'm definitely curious to see what this panel has to say about it. It's very divisive, as many people know. If you've seen Alien 3, I don't know how you can't be divided one way or another about the creative choices they made, because it's definitely a very sterile film that, breaks all the momentum, which was so positive from the first two films. So yes, of course, that is what we're going to be talking about today. I have the pleasure to be joined by Luke Galliardo here, as always, my co-host, Kyle Corwith, friend of the channel, and Random, another friend of the channel. This is our Alien panel. We come together, talk about Alien Predator. We were just kind of going back to the vault to figure out last time we talked, and it looks like it was the first Alien. So yeah, how are we all doing today, boys?
Great.
Locked and loaded.
All good.
Good. Yeah, I think it's sort of like, yeah, are you happy to talk about Alien 3? Are you sad to talk Alien 3? It's sort of like, it sort of feels like funeral vibes a little bit. It definitely did for me watching this, because this was my first time watching the movie. And, Random, we talked about this before, how sterile this movie is. You kind of wonder, if you've only seen the first two Alien movies, maybe you should just skip the third. But here we are. We put it off for a long time, and I wish I would have skipped this one. I definitely wish I would have skipped over those first two films, man. Those were amazing. Absolutely love them. And like I said, this one, it just really, they didn't seem to get much right here. And for people that aren't aware about Alien 3 and are not sure what this film is, let me give you a little summary about it. It's definitely a deviation from the momentum from the first two. We are now, it takes place pretty much directly after Aliens, when Sigourney Weaver, Ripley, Hicks, and Newt and Bishop, they escape the alien queen and escape shuttle. And a lot goes wrong after that second movie, because the pod crashes onto a remote all-male prison colony named Fiorina 161. And Ripley, surprisingly enough, is the only survivor that survived that crash. All of these great characters are in the shuttle. You grew to love them in the second movie, Aliens. You have every reason to be excited to see them again, and they're all dead unceremoniously. So what's crazy about this situation is there's no weapons in this weird compound. Ripley is the only woman there, and she's surrounded by a group of violent religious inmates who totally distrust her. And she has to kind of find a way to rally them together to fight this oncoming xenomorph threat, because of course the xenomorph survives and there is more alien danger to come. So I'm kind of wondering what you guys think about this. What sort of impact did this film have on you in conjunction to the first two films when you first saw this? If you could remember back to when you first saw this.
God, who wants to go first? I'll jump in relatively quickly then. So Alien and Aliens are like two of the best movies ever made. Alien 3, I think, rightfully gets a lot of hate. I can't really imagine, because this film actually came out in the year that I was born. And I can't imagine being a fan of the first two and then going to see this in the cinema and then just coming out like, what? I mean, I guess it would be similar to watching, I don't know, like The Last Jedi or whatever. Like, did they really just do that? Like that kind of thing? Because, yeah, like you say, killing Newt and Hicks is an insane decision, especially in the way that they did it. And what I find pretty nuts is that this movie had like 10 different writers, by the way. That it went through so many rewrites. They were rewriting it while it was being filmed. And I'll probably mention some of the David Fincher stuff later on. But the original script writer found Newt annoying, which is why he decided to have her killed off right at the beginning. And
I'll show you annoying.
Yeah. Like, I can kind of understand wanting to tell its own story without just doing a retread of Alien or Aliens, because this is a very different movie to both of them. And I can kind of appreciate them not just doing Aliens, but again, like it isn't just a retread, it is different. It's very, very dark and depressing. Ripley is just spending the entire time essentially wanting to die, dealing with loss and grief. She's not allowed to die because she's got to deal with the alien before she can do that. And I think that side of the film is done pretty well. I think it's a very well-made movie because, even though Fox was doing their best to interfere with David Fincher is one of the best directors alive. So he knows how to make a movie. The Sigourney Weaver is great. The music is great. The alien is not really. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this is the worst that the alien looked.
Effects wise, the design is pretty similar.
Yeah, so they basically do two different things because you've got the guy in the suit, which is that's always going to look like a prosthetic head with whatever technology you can make inside of it, and I think that those shots look really quite good in this. Resurrection probably looks a little bit better because they did some cool things in Resurrection, but any time when you can see the thing's whole body, it's essentially a composited rod puppet. So it wasn't done. It's not CG. It's green screen footage of a rod puppet that they then like superimposed over the film, and it really was not done well. I don't know why they went with that decision when they could have had it essentially as a guy in a suit like they did with the first two.
The problem with it is that it was too early. They needed to do that when they had CGI and they were doing optical, photochemical processes.
Well, I don't know if you guys have seen because the idea to have it come out of a dog or an ox, depending on which version of the film you watch. I don't know who had that idea, but it's an interesting idea that kind of gets carried forwards in the alien lore because you've got the idea that the alien sort of takes on some of the attributes of its host, which is quite interesting. Like that's not in the first two movies. And in some of the test footage, they were like, well, how do we do this? Because we need shots of this thing like running around. Like how on earth are we going to do that? And one of the ways that they attempted that is they literally got a whippet, as in the dog, and they dressed it up in like a rubber alien suit and gave it the head. And that you can find like screen tests on YouTube. That thing looks adorable. And they binned that off pretty much immediately because it was just completely the wrong emotion. But yeah.
Wait, so they didn't use any of the dog footage?
The footage where it is a dog in costume, that's not in the film. No, that was like early screen test.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. Yeah, I've seen a lot of pictures of that.
Can we clarify something? Can we go around who watched the theatrical cut and then the assembly cut?
We're talking about the theatrical mainly here.
What's
you can mention assembly. Mention assembly. Man.
I didn't watch the theatrical, so I watched the assembly. So you're going to get a difference of viewpoint here.
What's the supercut? The 2 hours and 20? Because I accidentally rented that.
You watched the assembly cut.
You watched the assembly. Then.
I began to, but then I realized there's like 30 minutes extra. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna. That's regular.
The version I rewatched, I've seen both of them multiple times, but the version I rewatched today was the theatrical. But the assembly cut is definitely a better movie. I just don't think that either of them are good. They're both kind of mid, honestly. Like I don't hate either of them because there's enough good stuff in them for me to not hate them. But it really just takes a lot to make up for the fact that they kill off Newton Hicks in the opening 5 minutes off screen.
I'm like a dog on a leash. I'm ready to be set loose.
Yeah, Kyle, here, tell us your thoughts. What sort of impact did this have on you?
This movie is the zenith example of the worst of any movie that has treated off-screen pre-existing beloved characters and killing them off. It's infamous for doing that, and to me, it's the top movie that has committed that in a franchise.
So worse than Last Jedi?
Yes.
Wow.
Worse than Dark Fate?
Yes.
Oh crap.
Worse than Signs?
Why is it?
Thankfully, nobody.
That doesn't even apply. It's not even the same situation. It's just a random throwing in there.
No, that's good. Well,
they're all bad. What you just mentioned with Last Jedi and Dark Fate, they're all bad. This is worse.
I'm excited to talk about that because I have so many questions to ask about the first chapter. Let me just read it off real quick. Well, actually, before I do that, let's say hello to our chat. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you all very much. Let's see. Mega Spider-Man's here. I hope you bring Random Film Talk back on if you do a stream on Alien Resurrection. It could be fun to have others too, but definitely him. Man, hopefully we don't talk about that for a long time. I don't think I could recover after watching this one. And I heard Resurrection's even worse.
Is that the next one?
Yeah.
Yes. Oof. Anyone know the time distance, like from Alien 3 to Resurrection? Like
from when they were released,
released,
or like
released.
It was 92 and then 97.
Okay. Wow, pretty big gap. All right. Huh. Okay. Oh, and David Smart Jr. I'm so drunk. Oh my god.
No. He said drunk.
Oh, drunk. He's drunk. You have to be drunk to listen to Alien for a couple hours. I'd have to say Alien 3. So
I'm a step above drunk. He's drunk. Drunk.
He's definitely drunk. Megan's here. Hey, Megan. Thanks for joining us. Wilkie's here, of course. Good seeing you, Wilkie. Member of the channel. We appreciate your support. Acres of Movies is here. Favorite scene in this? We'll save that till the end, Acres. But thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Let's get to the first chapter of the film, of course, because that's how this works. We're going to break down the film into chapters, and I got a lot of different discussion questions about each chapter. And we're also just going to be going over generalizations about the movie and the series as a whole. So stick with us as we talk about that. Yeah, there's a lot to be said, just wide scoping. But yeah, first chapter here. Ripley, of course, her escape pod crashes on Fury Arena 161, a maximum prison facility, after an internal incident backfires on the escape pod. And Ripley, of course, is the sole survivor, and she's revived by the ultra handsome Dr. Clemens, who seduces her without even really trying. And Hicks and Newt, of course, are both dead, and Bishop is inoperational, which was a real kick to the balls to me, practically dead himself. And being the only woman on this, compound, she is really kind of a lamb thrown to the wolves, right? And the warden Andrews, who's very unlikable, warns that Ripley must watch her footsteps despite the men's conversion and at times kind of positive presence, surrounded by a evil past. So definitely an interesting situation. Horrible introduction. This is the first 20 minutes here. And, as we're talking about, we open with the discovery that all of these beloved characters that you likely grew up watching just died on the spot off screen unceremoniously. And even worse yet, they have pretty grim deaths. I believe Newt, does she drown to death in her pod? Yeah.
So,
and then
what I got from it.
Yeah. What you end up getting from the film is not exactly what is supposedly happened according to the original script, because the film plays this with fade in and out, and I actually quite like the way it goes down, like the way that you see it. I think it's pretty horrifying and ominous and all the rest of it, but even though I don't like narratively what it does. So what actually happened, which the film doesn't make clear, is that the facehugger jumped on Newt, not Ripley. She then drowned in her cryotube, because you then see a shot of Ripley essentially having a seizure when the facehugger is not there. After Newt drowned, the embryo essentially left her body and then swam into Ripley because it needed a host, which is also why there is acid on Newt's cryotube, not Ripley's. So it doesn't really make it clear because the opening of the film implies that it's Ripley being facehugged. So, yeah, what happened to Newt is actually even more horrifying than what the film implies.
Wait, so what happened to Hicks? Is he the one where the tube is it's shattered and there's blood coming out of him?
Yeah, it was explained that there was a safety beam that just collapsed on his chest.
Wow.
He's impaled, basically, yeah. So,
so sad. Gosh. Well,
so retarded. You're being too nice.
Sad. Yeah, sad is being very kind, right? I mean, in this opening montage, I've heard that Bishop died, and that really broke my heart because I love him. I didn't really realize all these guys died on the spot like this. So immediately I knew that I was not going to enjoy this movie, right? I mean, just imagine. I don't get how you can have the creative thought to start your movie off by doing something so heinous and distasteful like this. I mean, how is anybody supposed to respect or go on board with your story if you have such little respect for everything that the previous movies built up, right?
Well, yeah, the writers wanted to continue the story of Ripley, and that story they felt didn't involve Hicks and Newt, which that's why so many people view the ending of Aliens as the end of the Alien franchise, because everything after that is kind of stapled on afterwards. It's the end of the story, and then we've just got a bit more. Like I don't like what they did at the beginning, but I don't think it's necessarily a death sentence for the film. But if you're going to do something that fucking bold, the movie has got to be able to back it up. Like if the movie had been amazing, then I could potentially see a world where I'm okay with it. But this movie is not amazing.
I can't see a world in which this would work either way, because it just shits on Aliens completely.
That's the difficult
You cannot
part,
get away from that. You know what's weird? They not only did this to one James Cameron movie, Aliens, they also did this to Terminator 2, when in Terminator 3, they fucking killed off Sarah Connor off screen.
Oh.
Yes.
Horrible writing.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't get that. When did that come out? Terminator 3, you know?
2002.
Okay, 02.
It was 3 or 4.
2003. Yeah. 2003, I think, yeah.
That's sad.
Man, I
Character
really should have watched
assassinations.
Aliens before this stream.
We've talked about Aliens. Did you not watch Aliens?
No,
Wow.
I've never seen Aliens. I've seen Aliens.
So you just sat through the entire stream? Or were you in the stream for Aliens?
Maybe he wasn't in that one.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't for Aliens.
Now it makes
Unfortunately.
sense.
Yeah.
We weren't there.
No.
I'm not watching this movie.
I don't think there's many people in the world that have seen Alien, skipped Aliens, and watched Alien.
Well, hey, I'm the guy.
Yeah, you're the first
Yeah.
on this earth that has done that.
Well, okay, so you didn't care about any of those characters at the beginning died because you didn't know it.
No. Not at all.
Already
That is
dismissive.
insane. That is
No.
crazy. How
Fuck
did you?
them.
All right. Well, Luke, real quick. How did you feel about this movie then? Because you weren't bound by the
Yeah.
goodwill of the first
Mhm.
or the second film.
Yeah. So I watched this in two parts. I started the beginning yesterday, and I absolutely hated it. And then I watched the last half today, and it was action packed. I enjoyed all the action, at least. It was pretty good. I didn't really have any connection towards any of the characters necessarily, because I don't know what happened to them in the previous movie, but I mean, I enjoyed the ride towards the end.
Yeah, I definitely. Gosh,
Where it shows the main protagonist not doing shit,
yeah,
while everyone else, all the male characters are running around long hallways.
know.
And she's just panting and groaning and occasionally shooting off a sarcastic line.
Hey,
Obnoxious.
there's no guns on set, Kyle. No guns on set.
Thanks, Sigourney.
I guess.
Thanks
the
for not
whole-
learning the lesson of what James Cameron put forth to you. Oh, we made a great movie with the guns and all that and the soldiers. She thinks, I'm not going to have any of that. I'm going to strip away everything from the Alien movies that worked.
Man, I guess they could have. I think they could have gotten away with no guns.
No,
I mean-
I disagree. Here's
I
how
see.
so here's where I'll go a little bit on that. If you have a limitation of ammo, I can go with that. That creates a scarcity, and so there's more stakes and drama because of it. But to completely eliminate that device or devices of having firearms, it's retarded, stupid. It strips down the movie to a point where it doesn't have any balls.
It definitely didn't have any balls. I mean, it's kind of a slog to get through, really. I mean, the whole cat and mouse routine only works for so long, at least when it's done poorly like this, because, I mean, there are no instruments people use that are effective against the alien at all. And I think it would have been nice if there was something they could do, like violence-wise, to thwart it. But, I mean, just running around the whole time, and like you said, running through empty hallways, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't really quite grasp that.
I don't. I think the problem there is the execution and the fact that it was kind of clearly stitched together from like shots that they had captured without necessarily knowing what they were going to do with them. Because like the idea of not having guns in a film like this, I don't think that is inherently a problem. Not having any kind of offensive weapon of any kind is a bit strange, but I guess they're trying to justify that by saying it's a prison planet. So why would they have, a flame? Because in the first, excuse me, in the first Alien film, they have obviously the flamethrower, which isn't a weapon, but they are using it as a weapon. And then in Aliens, you have the guns, but they're limited on ammo. The problem is that in this, if the film was just the same and you have the one alien, if you have a gun, then it is immediately trivialized. You sit in a room, you wait, and then you shoot it, because they will die to guns. Which is why in the first movie, it was such a threat, because one, you're in space, which means you can't risk the acid going through the hull. But also you don't have any weapons that can kill it. You have fire that can direct it, but that's all you've got. And I think that's what they were trying to do here, and it's obviously nowhere near as well done.
I would find it way more interesting if they held up a clip full of bullets, and they said, "This is all we got." Okay, so, and then they do just that, random, where they go into a room, the storage bay, and maybe somehow the alien gets in and they fire off the rounds and it just gets wasted. That creates a sequence right there, an action sequence just from this. So they didn't have that at all, and so you have the result of repetitious moments, especially the third act, and I'm referencing the assembly cut, which they extended. I even think it's the same effect that happens in the theatrical cut. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I have seen it. It just suffers from the same problem.
You're talking about the hallway scenes?
Yes, yeah. and other instances. The benefit that the assembly cut does, it just fleshes out the characters a little bit more, and that's pretty much it. And it also fixes the dog Rottweiler bullshit, which looks utterly it's retarded, because this, like, a literal, even bigger than the dog, this alien Xenomorph comes out.
Yeah, I know, that's crazy.
From a Rottweiler when it was originally from the ox, which makes sense. So they fixed that. But yeah, the theatrical cut is worse because it comes out of a dog, and it's even bigger than the dog.
It comes out of an ox in the assembly cut?
Yeah, a rotting ox, yeah.
I really should watch that version.
The justification there for why they changed it to a dog, I believe it was originally going to be an ox, is because they thought that an ox didn't necessarily fit with the setting, and they were like, well, okay, maybe the prisoners had a dog or whatever. Which I can understand that, but yeah, like you say, the size of the thing, it makes so much more sense for it to come out of an ox, and also the behavior of it, because the alien in this movie it's not particularly intelligent. It isn't hunting to reproduce. It's not forward thinking. It is literally just a movie monster that jumps on things and mauls them to death. So essentially acting like a rabid dog. Obviously oxes don't do that. Maybe a rabid one might. I don't know.
What if it was a bull? There you go. A little step towards something that's connected to its behavior. But you're right about its behavior being disconnected from the animal source that it comes out of the host, and it's just a mess. This movie, both versions are a mess.
Yeah,
that's a pretty major detail to screw up too, right? Like the properties, the reason why it's erratic and like beastly is because it's like born from a dog, right? And the dog has similar primal properties, right? And then you say that ox, it's like, come on, you can't justify the reasons for how this xenomorph acts different compared to the normal version by coming out of an ox. That makes no sense. That's crazy.
There's problems with the way it goes down in both versions of the film. I don't even know really which one I prefer, but yeah, there's
well, the assembly cut has redone special effects when it comes out and it goes down the hallway. You guys watch the theatrical. How did you feel about that shot when it scurries down the hallway?
I don't know.
I don't even know if that shot is. I think that shot is only in the assembly cut, but it's been a while since I've seen it.
They cut it out of the theatrical. Maybe it was in the work print. Okay. Yeah, that's what I saw.
We don't really get a very good look at it. That's something I think is weird about this choice of the Xenomorph. I mean, if they're going to make it like this dog, like four-legged, on all fours beast, it would have been cool if it like looked very different. But a lot of the shots we see of it, it looks exactly like the same ones we've always seen. I
Yeah.
thought that was a big disappointment. Like, if you're gonna go in and make it, act different and whatever else and be something special, like, commit to it and show us a totally different iteration. I mean, it looked just like the normal ones. It looked like it was literally standing up like one of the normal ones from the first two films, but no, it's not. That's what made me think maybe there was more than one Xenomorph here, because we had these weird shots of the one with the giant tail wagging its tail on all fours. Then you also had a shot of it like kind of standing erect in the basement. It's like, okay, is this the same one? I don't know. It's weird. But going back to, we're skipping a little bit. We're here at the very beginning, and we won't talk too much about this. But I think it's just an important point to make is the debauchery that was done to these great characters. What do you think was the creative decision to kill off these characters? Was this more lazy? Was it like more lazy? Get rid of them so the creative can use the Ripley as the character according to the story they want, or was there some other creative purpose?
Well, Random just mentioned that one of the writers, the earlier ones, hated Newt, so I can understand that. And the way you fix that is you just put her to sleep. You make her unconscious throughout the most of the movie. I think that's how you figure it out, and how you not insult the audience by killing her off. So bigger than that, the reason I couldn't figure out, and maybe Random, you can tell me, I listened to Michael Bean's podcast, and he didn't even state the reasons as to why. I think he specifically said he doesn't even know why they decided to do that, because the first time he heard that he was in the movie, or his inclusion of the character at all, he was told by somebody that they were filming and they had a dummy of his likeness, and that sparked a whole controversy and back and forth about how they cannot use his likeness without paying him, and rightfully so. So I don't even know exactly why the hell they would kill off Hicks. It's retarded, because you could picture Alien 3 with both Ripley and Hicks in this movie, and maybe you kill him off at the end, right? But to think about having Clemens as don't make it melodramatic, but almost as a point of romantic interest, because Hicks and Ripley, there's a hint and suggestion that there's something sparking between them in Aliens, but it's not fulfilled. So you could have this kind of love triangle, but not melodramatic. I know when people say love triangle, it sounds stupid, but the way that you can pull it off is if you do it subtly and you don't have shit dialogue going back and forth. Minimalistic and subtle. So I don't understand. I don't know why they killed off Hicks. There's no reason to do it unless they had a qualm about paying him. Maybe he was asking for more. But they already ran into the issue anyway with a pay dispute because of using his likeness to kill him off anyway. And apparently he earned more than he did in Aliens. His salary was more because he upped the ante. They had no choice but to use his likeness to convey it to the audience of what they did to his character, and it was a dumbass move.
Yeah, so he was paid more for, you see an image of his face, like a photo of his face in this, and then you see the dummy, but it never, shows his exact face. Right. He was paid more for that appearing than he was paid for appearing in Aliens. I don't know if he sued them or if it was like a off the table discussion or something. I'm not sure exactly, but as for like why they killed him, the reason why they killed Newt, like you say, is because they didn't want to keep her around, and I feel like once they decided to make that decision, it was natural for them to say, well, if we're going to kill Newt, I guess we kill Hicks as well, because it will then force Ripley into it will then make the story extremely dark and depressing. She will be dealing with the distress of having lost these people that she thought that she'd escaped with, and she's then dealing with the fact that I won't say yet, but what ends up happening about halfway through the film. And I don't think it was a good decision. End of sentence, I guess. There you go.
Yeah. There's too much to say. You just got to cap it.
It's interesting to think about, though, because it wouldn't surprise me if pretty much what you just said, Kyle, was one of the drafts where they did have Hicks and they did keep him around. And I mean, there's no way that he survives the movie, given what happens, I don't think. And then they probably decided, well, we'd rather Ripley not have a friend here. I mean, she has a friend for a brief period of time, and she gradually has like an okay-ish relationship with some of the inmates, but every single one of them is a serious threat to her, whereas Hicks would not be. And you could guess that if Hicks had survived, that as soon as there is any kind of tension with these inmates, they are just going to kill Hicks. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty much what like David Fincher said, is that in order to make an actual director's cut of this movie, he would have to start over.
Because, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So that, just for clarification for anyone who didn't know, the assembly cut is not a director's cut. David Fincher has never even seen it. It was based on his original cut of the movie that was rejected by Fox before they demanded all of the reshoots. So it's meant to be more faithful to what Fincher originally wanted, but that doesn't mean it's his cut.
I like the concept of them, Hicks and Newt, just being on ice, in a coma. I think that would have been just so much better. And I think if Hicks was around, if he was part of the picture, that kind of removes or it kind of adds the safety, right? The safety net that Ripley obviously doesn't have without him being there. I mean, if he was around, then I think a lot of the tension from the atmosphere and the situation she's in would be a lot less biting as it is, because I mean, it's a terrible situation when you think about it. I mean, she's stuck on this remote prison with a bunch of men who are former offenders and murderers that really have that itch inside themselves that's barely being quenched. And I mean, she's told time and time again that, you better not be prancing around here too much. These guys might be converts, but deep down, they still have all of those wants and desires that they had back when they made those awful decisions to, harm women. So it's an interesting dilemma. It definitely just doesn't feel like right. Like, I don't get why that needs to be in an Alien movie. It just doesn't feel Alien. I mean, it's nothing like the first two, which is a good thing, obviously. Like you said, Random, we don't want to retread on the first two, but I think that there could have just been so many other ideas. And I was just listening to a few from a different, or I was reading about a few of the different treatments and concepts originally brought to the table, and as maybe shedding the light on Hicks and his story, escaping the shuttle and going off and doing his own adventures of discovery about the xenomorphs. Like, it sounded much more interesting. I think all of us would have been okay with that, seeing some more of a Michael Biehn, but nope, there he goes, just like that. You'll never see him again. Hope you're happy.
Yeah, I think that what you're referring to there is what the original sort of pitched idea for the film was. I don't know if it ever even made it into a script, like an actual, complete script, because Fox almost certainly decided that this will just be prohibitively expensive. Because it was going to be like a Aliens Part 2 focusing on Hicks, essentially. And it was going to not be on one planet. There was going to be like space station shit going on. And yeah, I think that it formed the basis of what ended up becoming Colonial Marines, the video game, which I haven't played. It's apparently terrible, but like the story of that is, I think, what that script, it was inspired by that script.
Okay.
Because that Hicks is in that game, and it's like a what if he didn't die at the beginning of Alien 3, I guess.
That's a shame. It's trash.
Apparently it's trash. I might play it at some point, but yeah.
And the game you recommend is Alien Isolation. Is that right?
Alien Isolation is amazing, and it is getting a sequel soon.
Wow.
It's in production finally after over a decade.
When does that take place?
Isolation takes place, I believe it's 15 years after Alien.
Okay.
So the concept, very briefly, is Amanda Ripley, who she dies off screen in between movies. If you watch the extended version of Aliens, she's the daughter that Ripley is mourning at the beginning of Aliens. So she was just a little girl when Ripley left on her space mission. Now she's, I think, in her early 20s. Her mum never came home, so she's offered the chance to recover the black box flight recorder from the Nostromo, and she says, okay. She goes out to the space station near where it was picked up, and things go wrong. That's basically the plot.
Wow. All right. That sounds interesting. Yeah, I know
they
you
could
said a
easily
lot
turn
of
it
good
into a
things
movie.
about it. Huh.
Yeah, it's simple enough to where they could quite easily turn it into a movie. I don't think they need to. What I'm not sure is what they're going to do with Alien Isolation 2, because 1 is its own story, and it has a very solid ending. And I feel like you can't just. I don't know how you would continue that character's story. I feel like you'd have to do something totally different.
Yeah, that's a weird creative choice. All right, whatever. I mean, if they can make it work, right? I mean, I don't know. I feel like sequels to games and movies, obviously they're pretty different. I feel like you got to have a pretty decent idea. I mean, for the backing for one of those games, you know. So, but I don't know. We've heard that there's been a million examples of that not working and being a total bust, right? So, I hope it works out. You hear that, everybody? Check out Alien Isolation. I still need to play that. Next time I get the fancy for a story game, I'll have to play that as well. A funny question I have, and maybe it just went over my head. I feel like there's quite a few like different reasons for this, but you know what's totally polarizing about this movie, of course, is Ripley's bald head. You know, she's kind of like. She has one of those interesting looks where she's like kind of a good looking lady, also not. She's feminine, very masculine, you know, very like non-traditional appearance. And obviously she's a strong-willed woman, but you know, her helming the bald head, obviously it's not a good look, but you know, there were real reasons behind this. Was it just to like avoid, you know, the male gaze from the prisoners and to fit in with them? Was that it, or was there more to that?
It was probably a combination of that, and also maybe not head lice, but you know, extraterrestrial evil alien head lice or whatever, you know, infections. It would probably be normal because all the prisoners have shaved heads. Yeah. It would probably be normal for her to do that. So yeah, again, it was a bit of a choice. Apparently, Sigourney Weaver's husband was not happy because his wife's shaving her head. So Sigourney Weaver was able to negotiate.
I mean, I don't want to have sex when you're bald.
She was able to negotiate I think it was a tens of thousands of dollars like bonus as a result of actually shave, you know, instead of using a bald cap. And because of how much of a clusterfuck this movie was when they were filming it and then doing the promotion, she had to shave her head, I believe it was 3 times instead of once. And she managed to get that bonus 3 times.
Wow. Remember that, Luke.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Sigourney Weaver really milked this fucking movie. Like, she signed off on this. Like, think about it. She was dictating some writers to come in and do work on the movie. So she was okay with and allowed Hicks and Newt to be killed off. She was complicit with this shit. And even when she was asked in a Q&A recently, I think it was last year, about it, she didn't call it out as to what it really is, which is bullshit. She said she likes the movie still. That's either she has terrible taste or she's lying for political diplomatic purposes in Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. And I really hate that. I think that's ridiculous. And it's insulting still. She's by liking this movie, she's actually insulting the audience by saying, yeah, I like this movie. I like that they killed off Hicks and Newt. You know, all the goodwill, as you said, Brawler, from Aliens. It's insulting.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree with you there. I mean, you know, so much of, you know, her Ripley's character, my mom and I were talking about it, you know, she's, you know, a very unique female character, right? I mean, it's easy to respect her. She's strong. She's literally strong. She's very capable. She's not narcissistic. She doesn't have a big ego. She's not like wisecracking all the time. It's weird. It's just a very respectable, real character. I feel like, you know, it just seems like somebody, you know, in your family that's upstanding, that stands up to the challenge. I know there's people in my family that I see kind of similar things in. And I think it's just like a lot of like kind of common tropes for women she has. And I see that, I don't know why we're not able to kind of be more honest and show more honest portrayals like that in female characters, because obviously I don't know anybody that doesn't like Ripley. But, you know, like you said, you know, Aliens is, you know, a very special movie because, you know, it shows a strong woman who is determined to kind of cherish motherhood, right? And to emboldened by the protection of children. This young girl who she takes under her wing, you know, kind of treats her like her daughter, long lost daughter. And, you know, this movie just completely erases all that. And what's weird about this to me is how quickly she seems to get over all of it. You know, it just
Thank
doesn't
you.
seem like she's very
Yeah.
haunted by any of this. And they are such severe,
Mm.
damning points that have happened in her life, huge tragedies, and she just kind of gets over it pretty quickly, and she gets it on with the doctor like nothing's happening. It's like, do you realize what just happened like 2 days ago, lady?
Yeah. Can we make our screens bigger so the audience can see our shocked and infuriating facial
I can see you
expressions?
much better now, Kyle.
Yeah, I really want to convey that. I really do, actually. That scene, if they, in the case of them doing that, right, killing off Newt, there's not even a moment where she says something personal to her, aside from saying, "Forgive me, I'm about to touch your neck," and then, weirdly enough, they actually show in close-ups like Newt bare-chested, and it's
weird.
a little weird. That's David Fincher doing that, so that was a little weird. But she doesn't have anything to say, just as a mother would to a child, or a surrogate mother in her case. That was
It's
a
all
missed
plot related.
opportunity. Yeah. They just like, and I suppose it's good from the perspective of keep it moving, but
Yeah.
you cannot move away from this in this instance where you killed off significant main characters from the previous film.
And yeah, special characters too. I mean, you know, I think it's crazy. You said, who was it? It was like a writer. It was a writer. It was like a former creative
one-
involved that wanted her dead.
It was one of the, I can't remember their names, one of the two original writers for the first, well, not even first draft, the first version of the script that was then rewritten I don't know how many times during production. One of the things that stuck around was that Newton Hicks would be killed in that way.
I think that's what's special about Newt is she's a very likable, admirable child character, especially like a little girl. I don't know how anybody could be annoyed by her. She doesn't do anything annoying at all in Aliens. I mean, she's very kind of mild, even tempered, even though she's in this awful environment where, you know, her whole family's dead and she's slowly warming up to Ripley and then they become real close and attached. Like, how can you find her annoying? That is ridiculous. Like I said, I'll show you annoying. You want to see annoying? I'll give you annoying because this is nothing like that. And you would think that you would want to continue these stories. There's so much more to be told here. And like, one thing I think is, I think this movie could have worked if it was like the fourth or the fifth film down the line, because obviously you kill Ripley too, which is already kind of insane. Even though they bring her back in Resurrection, which I'm not too excited to learn how. And it's like, I just don't, it's sort of like, you know, with the sequels, of course, why would you want to kill off your cash cows? Because obviously it didn't seem like they really had any real creative vision for the future of Alien. This seemed kind of like a cash grab to me more than anything else. So why would you want to kill off the characters that make you money, that everybody loves?
That's so one of the things that I do broadly, I guess, like about the movie is the way that they handle Ripley's death, which, you know, right at the end. I really think that they completely undermine it with Resurrection. I won't go into how, because I think that if you just have no idea, then I wouldn't want to ruin your reaction. Yeah, but that's one of the things that, even though the assembly cut is, I think, better, I prefer how it goes down in the theatrical. Which, I mean, I can jump forwards or I can save it until we get to the end of the movie. It's entirely up to you.
We'll wait.
Yeah, no
let's get to the chat real quick. We're just in the first chapter here, but you know what's funny? It's like the very beginning and the very end. That's where all the interesting stuff happens. And in between, it's just boring mud. I don't know how they weren't able to craft like a really, I don't know. Well, it's not vibrant at all, but we'll get to it. Let's see what everybody has to say real quick.
This whole movie is very brown and wet.
Yeah, very stale. Oh, Papa Pumpkin's here. Hello, all my alien words. Nice, good one, Papa Pumpkin. Good seeing you, Gord King. Nice having you in the chat. It's been a while. Let's see here. LJ Films and Gaming. Fun fact, I live 15-minute drive from the coastline used when the ship crashes It's Seaham near Sunderlad. Ridley Scott is a local. Wow, that's cool. Sweet. Have you seen him, LJ? Have you shook his hand, LJ?
Yeah, too bad Ridley Scott wasn't able to have some input with Alien 3, because even though he went wayward with his later films, I consider Alien 3 to be the worst out of all of the Alien films because of what they did. The compounding of various choices, and the obvious one being Hicks and Newt. Their fates.
Interesting.
And that's like saying a lot, because there's a lot of garbage, right?
There is, yeah. There
I
are many
seen any
issues
of
with
the
other
ones.
films, yeah.
I would have. Yeah, I've argued against people before for saying that Prometheus might be the third best Alien movie. Having now rewatched Alien 3, I don't. It's between Prometheus and Alien 3 for me would be the third best Alien movie, which in my view just goes to show how bad all of the rest of them are.
Yeah,
it's you've got the two Alien versus Predator movies. You've got Resurrections. You've got Alien Covenant. And you've got Romulus, and all of those are definitely worse, in my view, than Alien 3 and Prometheus. But I completely understand what you're saying, Kyle, about like the creative decision to kill off those characters at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
If that, I can totally understand that ruining the entire movie for you, because fuck me, it's just ridiculous.
Alien 3 is when someone who doesn't really know how to sing or tries to sing has a fair performance during the entirety of the song, but for some reason they decide to just make the mic peak with this loud note that is so ear, piercing. That's the killing off of Newt and Hicks right there. It's just ruins the entire performance of that high note that
it's hard to look past that.
Noise. Yeah.
Huge turn off. Our friend Benjamin J. Slack. He's going to be on with us next week, Kyle. Very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we'll reveal what that is at the end of the
that.
stream. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ben says, Alien 3 isn't the worst film ever made, but its greatest travesty is massively failing to live up to both of its classic predecessors.
Ben, you have a way of being diplomatic about framing these things, and you start with like a real inverse of it's not the worst, right? And then you move over to, it is massively failing to live up to both of its predecessors, but it just doesn't. It's like I said, I think it's the worst because of what they did with those characters. And I mean, that's the thing. I see, if I was here right now, I'm starting to have a conversation with myself to Ben, because I would challenge him on, well, first of all, what do you think of that choice? So I feel like I'm the only one. Random, you agree that it's bad. I think we all agree that it's the choice about Newt and Hicks.
Oh, I don't think you'll find anyone who thinks that's a good idea. What you might find is people who defend the movie in spite of that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear from somebody who actually tries to defend that.
I thought somebody here would be like into it, but doesn't look like it. Except Luke's super into it.
Oh yeah, rewind.
This is almost as good as Captain America: Brave New World, isn't it?
Not quite. It's almost there.
Yeah. All right, let's see. LJ's kind of defending it. He says it's a fine movie featuring a creature in a prison among people of different beliefs. I think it's pretty much the same beliefs, though. The creature's existence challenges those beliefs, science/religion. Something that surprised me about this was that the prisoners, I thought, well, I guess most of the time they are pretty upright, like they follow their faith and they don't exactly sway from it, except for the one instance where, of course, those guys try to gang grape her. Like, I always forget.
Why you gotta say it, dude? Why are you letting YouTube treat you like a child? Come on.
Hey, whatever. It's kind of funny saying it, grape. Let's see. Charles Dance. No. Charles Dance is the doctor equals science. He treats the creature as a matter of fact. To him and anyone with a brain cell, beliefs are irrelevant. Yeah. He plays an interesting character. We're gonna get to him here soon. Let's see, just a few more chats, then we'll get to the next chapter. Our friend Ian Morrison, good to see you, Ian. I honestly think the first Alien vs. Predator was better than people giving it credit for. It's not as great as Alien 1 and 2 and the first Predator, but it was actually a decent crossover. Well,
Hmm.
yeah. I haven't seen that one either. I feel that sounds like a fun premise, but I hear it just doesn't land.
It might be better than this
Same.
one. I
It's
haven't seen it in a while.
It's definitely more entertaining, but then I would say that about Resurrection as well. Like Resurrection and AVP are goofy and silly.
Hmm.
I would say that Resurrection delivers a little bit more on what it promises to do, whereas AVP is like, hey, guess what? The aliens and the predators are going to fight. And they spend about 90 seconds of the movie fighting, and the rest of it is shitty characters doing shitty things. So AVP doesn't do what it says on the tin. And had it done what it says on the tin, it would have been fun nonsense. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Resurrection. The idea of resurrecting her. That's just, please stop.
It doesn't make
Please.
sense.
Like, I think
Take
it's so
it
funny.
up with not Zach. Damn it! I just
Joss
Whedon. Yeah, Whedon.
Yeah.
Joss
I just had
Is
a
he in
jumble of
charge?
Zack
Is he
Snyder and Joss Whedon's name in my mind.
So
Did he do Resurrection?
Whedon wrote Resurrection. Apparently, he has essentially disavowed it because it is his script, but the delivery of the lines and the comedy, you know, if you imagine it that it was a non-alien movie, then you could see like, oh, well, this is Whedon style humor coming out of these characters, but it doesn't work because of the tone of the movie. So it feels like a director is directing a different movie to what the script is. It's a very strange movie, and it is funny sometimes, but it really shouldn't be. But yeah, Whedon wrote it. Yeah.
Wow. Come on, Joss. This was not one of his finest titles. Great. Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, we appreciate you. Let's get on to the next chapter, though. Ooh, the dog Xenomorph emerges. What a happy day. So, amongst the tensions stewing in the prison, a new Xenomorph is born from a dog or an ox in the assembly cut, which is ridiculous. And Ripley, she demands Newt's autopsy to see if she had been probed, and a funeral followed the lackluster diagnosis that no, she had not been probed. She was clean. And that was just a strange scene altogether, seeing the Dr. Clemens do, you know, kind of gut her. Like, ew, what the hell? Like,
when all they could have done was a CAT scan.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
All they needed to do was that.
Oh, you mean like they do later in the movie?
Yeah.
Put her on the machine,
It's strange
guys.
Ripley didn't think about that. You think she would want to spare herself from witnessing Newt get hacked up? No.
That's an extensive sequence too. I mean, we stay there,
Oh.
and you're right. You see her when that
It was
happens.
originally
It's
longer.
gross.
The original version of the film, not in the assembly, like the version that no one has seen, was apparently a lot longer and a lot more graphic. I don't know why. I don't know how the film benefits from that.
Disturbing.
Yeah, like it could have just happened entirely off screen. You can get a lot out of sound effects, or you just have Ripley waiting outside until Clemens says, "No, we're all good." Like, there are more tasteful ways to do that if you really feel like you have to do that.
Yeah, it's almost as if the original writer who hated Newt insisted that they show her dead body, they hack her up, just embarrass that entire character.
That's weird.
Yeah, just show her in unsightly,
humiliating
situations. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a real character assassination, and it's one I can't really think of a comparison to it either, but it's definitely humiliating, and it doesn't need to be seen. It doesn't help at all, and yeah, the fact that it's the fact that we see it is bad, but the fact that is even happening in that fashion is ridiculous itself. That it's like, you know, you're abusing the body when there's another way you could do it. Like you said, scan her through the machine, just like what Ripley does later. Very strange. That if that is true, that this is like some sort of continuation of the other creatives' input on how distasteful he finds her character, then there's something wrong with that dude to follow through like this.
Here's
But,
how you fix it, though. You make it so that the EEV was not recovered yet, and they had no other choice but to cut open the chest cavity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But moving on. That's only the first half of this chapter. Ripley, she's desperate for answers as to what happened to her friends that have died and why she ended up in this situation. So she retrieves and reactivates Bishop, who's on his last legs, and he confirms that there was a xenomorph threat aboard the escape shuttle. And soon afterwards, she is nearly assaulted, but is saved by Dylan, who is probably the only recognizable prisoner in the entire compound, which we spend a decent amount of time with a lot of these bald white guys. And he's the only one that really stands out. He's the only one that really has any character to him, truly. And he is sort of the spiritual mentor to the men. And, you're supposed to view him as an upstanding character. And, from this point forward, there is now the alien dog who is beginning to pick off prisoners one by one, killing a lot of nameless prisoners that nobody cares about. So, one question I have about this that I found just strange was that Ripley, this is such a hostile environment with strangers that she should be, kind of off-put by. She quickly embraces them and becomes one of them and sits with them at lunch. And, she just kind of prances around them for the rest of the movie. Why do you think she got so comfortable being around them and kind of becoming one of the guys? Why did that happen?
I mean, she has a history from the first film being around blue collar workers. So there you go. There's that aspect to it, which I can buy, but they don't pose enough of a threat to her. They could have escalated their behavior a little bit more to showcase her being cautious, at least cautious about them. And this is the thing about Sigourney Weaver's performance in this movie is she does not convey enough stakes in her emotions, such as in this, with her being cautious or fearful of these prisoners, right?
Yeah.
And that
Serious
goes even
offenders.
further, right? And that goes even further into the third act, where she just becomes this hopeless, suicidal, nihilistic bitch who is completely thinking about herself and not other people. She talks about this. She talks to this other guy, 85, who's, I think his real name is Aaron.
Yeah.
And she's telling him to send a message to the rescue team that the place is toxic, that would make them not come anymore, not come to the prison planet. He refuses. He said, "I'm not going down for this. I have a wife and a child." And she doesn't give a fuck about any of that. Fuck her. I'm on his side, actually.
Wow.
I don't like the way
a character you love so unlikable.
No, this character is not the same character from the previous two. She's unfeeling, she's unsympathetic, she's suicidal. She's not a leader in this. She has those moments where when they set up that weird plan where they're slathering toxic shit in the tunnels, whatever the hell they were trying to do. Someone explain that to me, please. And then afterwards, she just kind of saunters away, and even Dylan's, where is she? Where'd she go?
I think they were trying to wasn't the toxic waste as a fuel to burn out all the vents so the alien would get torched. So that's sort of what was going on.
I think so, yes, but something that the film doesn't do a good job of is having you understand the geography, because it is you could argue the same for the Nostromo in the first movie, but the first movie has these very long shots so where you can follow a character for a minute at a time. You understand how far they've moved. In this, it cuts around all over the place. In Aliens, I think, probably does it the best, because in Aliens, you see maps quite frequently, and you can't fucking understand the maps. It's not like the maps in The Lord of the Rings, where it's this is, you're looking at a map. In Aliens, it's I don't really know what this is. It's some kind of wireframe schematic with a bunch of flashing lights on it. But because the characters are pointing at it confidently and explaining, we're here, the bad stuff is there, we've got to get here before the explosion here, you understand where everything is relative to each other. Whereas here, I agree, I think, from memory, the plan was that they were going to set a bunch of the facility on fire, which would then drive the alien into the part of the facility that they wanted it in, at which point they could lure it into the whatever it was. It was a hydraulic refinery thing. I can't remember what they call it, but yeah.
The toxic waste storage bay.
Maybe, yes. It's where they keep all the C4.
Yeah, the plan, this whole atmosphere and like the setting and like the places that they're trying to trap the alien and whatever else, it's just so boring. Like it's really just not very exciting at all. It doesn't make for a very captivating climate to traverse through as a, I mean, if they don't have weapons, they better have a pretty interesting space to wander through to find a way to trap and kill the alien otherwise, or else like what am I supposed to be excited about watching these cat and mouse routines?
Yeah, and these guys don't even have the wherewithal to realize, hey, maybe we should cobble together some kind of makeshift weapons and, shave something down, etc. You rarely see these guys try to use or improvise anything around them as a weapon. You got pipes occasionally and maybe a kitchen knife. What the hell?
Yeah, this movie, it just feels underground. It feels like it's cheap, like it's trying to be cheap. It didn't have much money, and that it was kind of independent almost.
It's interesting that you say that. This movie ballooned in its budget as a result of studio interference and everything else.
What was the can you tell the stages of that shit, man?
So I don't have all of them, but what I've got is that the original budget was $45 million, which in 1992, that was about half of what Terminator 2 cost. That was what this was original. And Terminator 2 looks amazing.
Yeah.
This does not. By the end, this movie had ballooned up to $65 million.
Wow.
And I mean, I guess it happened because it was being overseen by people who didn't know what they were doing. And you had, I mean, not to critique David Fincher really, because he knew what he was doing. He just wasn't allowed to do what he wanted to do because he was a first-time director and he was basically shot down on every decision. He was forced to go in and reshoot a whole bunch of the movie after they rejected his initial cut. Which is, why they essentially had to pay through the arse for reshoots. So yeah, this was an expensive movie. It cost more than double what Alien and Aliens cost added together.
Wow, that's insane. And it looks a quarter as good.
There's a clip of Fincher behind the scenes stuff, literally calling the Fox execs the stupidest people on earth. Like,
yes,
he was not holding back at all, and he was very aware of what was going on, and it makes sense why he doesn't want to look back on it. But it's interesting that it hurt him so much. I mean, that's ultimately what it did. It sounds kind of sissy to say that, working on a movie hurt someone. Evidently, he has some kind of PTSD or relative to how you can experience that kind of situation. But I like the idea, and I would encourage him to fucking face the music and just like make a commentary or some shit, or do an interview or something that to just let it all out, because we'd be very interesting to hear all that. Yeah. It would garner, if he did some kind of live Q&A or something, if it were a part of a new release for Alien 3, if he actually did come back and do a director's cut and he was given a budget of, we'll let you do any kind of special effects that you wanted to add here and there, that would be interesting, and it would make sense as to when he would do it, which would be at the end of his career, or end of his life, essentially.
He is one of the most respected directors currently working. He's not burning any bridges by doing that. Like, at the time, you can't just come out and you can't do the Josh Trank Fant Four Stick thing and just try and throw the studio under the bus, because then you won't have a career, which is what happened to Josh Trank.
Well, but here's the thing. See, I just mentioned before, but he fucking called out the execs on camera, and he put his mouth to the boom mic and said they're a bunch of idiots.
Oh, do you know when was that? Like what year, roughly?
Well, when they were shooting.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. When they were shooting, he did that. So he still had a career afterwards. Okay. And I encourage people to do that. I'm seeing more clips of actors and other creatives being more upfront and honest, having frank conversations about their experiences. And I highly encourage that. And I think it started with, I think Quentin Tarantino talking about those actors he didn't favor. I don't necessarily totally agree with his opinion, but I agree that he should be able to voice that opinion. I think there should be more transparency when it comes to the film industry, the movie business, and it would make it more obvious to the audience and a benefit to the audience to hear from filmmakers and actors of, yeah, I didn't like this, I didn't like that, and it would encourage more conversation and stimulate thought, and it would actually bring the quality up most of all, I think.
That'd be refreshing. Yeah, we could definitely use that.
Yeah, I hate these actors who pretend. I get why they do it when they're on the publicity tour for the movie that's just coming out, but I hate even going to... So with Sigourney, she's still pretending that this movie is good, is complete bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like in the case of David Fincher, like he was known for doing music videos at this point in time. He'd made a whole bunch of like high profile music videos, and this was his first. I think he was the third director in line to make the movie after the first two left.
Wow.
And the movie bombed in the US, but it did do reasonably well in other countries, which is why they ended up making Resurrection. But his experience making this and the friction with Fox, because Fox, massive studio, obviously, that nearly destroyed his career. It nearly meant that he was not going to make another movie. And like, to her credit, Sigourney Weaver actually helped him by like publicly agreeing with him that Fox had made it almost impossible for him to do his job. And that was, I believe, before... I mean, it must have been before she did Resurrection. So I guess because she's Sigourney Weaver at that point in time, she is the Alien franchise. She can pretty much say whatever she wants, and they're still going to pay her to come back and reprise the role. With David Fincher, that's not the case. And then what ended up happening with Fincher is, I can't remember the name of the producer, but there was some other producer who agreed that the higher-ups at Fox were morons. And he saw Alien 3, and he liked David Fincher, and he saw the potential that was there, and this producer was a large part of why Fincher was then able to make Seven. And Seven is the movie that that David Fincher really considers his first movie, because it was the first movie where he had that level of creative control. And Seven is like one of the best movies ever made, and that is what launched his career, not this.
Well, it's ridiculous for him to say that. He can say all he wants, but the fact of the matter is that Alien 3 is his first film. It didn't go well. It's a fucking mess, but it went very well afterwards, thankfully. And Seven is a masterpiece. So he did excellently getting onto that movie, and to have the backing of Brad Pitt, because he was almost in a similar situation with Seven, because the studio wanted to change the ending, and Brad Pitt put his foot down. He said, "You're not fucking changing anything." So good on them for sticking to their guns. And that movie came out, and it is. You're right. It's one of the best movies ever made.
We'll have to talk about Seven sometime. That's a good mention. Yeah.
You do.
I'll keep you in mind for that, Kyle. So I was kind of wondering. I thought at first when I saw the scene where the alien, erupts out of the Rottweiler, I thought it was interesting. You know what I mean? It was an interesting take. I felt like they were trying to go for something special here, obviously, because it's not a person, right? You're used to seeing that the first two films, and now they finally choose an animal. Do you think, like, was there any part of with the chest bursting scene with the dog that worked? Do you think it was a good move? Was it impactful? Did you feel like it was more impactful than previous iterations of her, or was it a total flop?
It didn't work for me. It just didn't make sense. Like we said, it's a small, tiny Rottweiler, and then all of a sudden this big alien just busts out. It's like,
the fact that it came out like instantly, right when it came out of its stomach or whatever, it's enormous. It's bigger than the dog, is insane. Like, that's not how the humans worked. I remember it was the tiny little penis, and it ran across the hall.
Wait, can you clarify what you just said?
Tiny little penis. That's what it looked like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That didn't come to my mind. So? But all right.
I'm talking about in the first one. You didn't think so?
Oh, the first one. I think it's okay.
It's not this one.
All right.
Definitely not this one.
No. In this one, it's a penis with legs.
There
you
much
go.
Larger.
Yeah,
much larger. Yeah.
I will
say. Yes. It looked like an erect cock. Yes.
That's the question. Yeah.
I'm sure Ridley Scott was very pleased by that.
With the chest bursting scene in this, I don't like that it comes out of the dog for reasons we've already said. I also don't like what they did with Newton Hicks, but I do like the way that it's intercut those two scenes. Essentially, the funeral. I mean, it's very simple. They're literally, showing life and death happening at the same time, which is arguably what the chest bursting is. I mean, it is what the chest bursting sequence is on its own. I also think that the This film, I think, benefits quite a lot from having a really good soundtrack. The soundtrack is so much better than the film is. And the piece of music, I don't know what it's called, but the piece of music that plays over this particular scene, I think it makes it seem better than it actually is.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Your brain.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's some sections of it I don't like. There's a portion in the running down the hall sequence chase that doesn't work. There's some percussions in there and weird sounds that I don't like. That doesn't work. But the orchestral stuff does, with that scene with the funeral and the third act conclusion.
You know, Random, I think you made a good point. I like the way it parallels, you know, the funeral scene, which is really sad, sort of a spiritual experience. It's the death, right? It's the end of their story. It's the acknowledgement of the end of life. And then at the same time, ooh, it's the birth of life, but it's contorted and it's you know, it's unreal.
Poetic.
It's blasphemous.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah. So it's so artsy, right? The creativity's in the air.
I'm a cinematic composer.
Ooh.
I mean, I guess you've also got the fact that Ripley is like depressed with a capital D throughout this entire movie, which I think is what a lot of her characterization leans on. And yeah, she's obviously having to deal with losing Newton Hicks, and we are seeing before she is made aware that, it's not over yet. You know, we're not out of the woods yet. Like everything is about to get a whole lot worse, and that's all happening at the same time. So I guess if you remove the additional context, I do like the scene.
Yeah. I think, like, you know, obviously, like, seeing a poor animal get hurt is awful. You know, I think, like, there's something about it. Like, I'll give them credit for this sequence because I think it was definitely I thought it was pretty well done. You know, I think that since it was so like chopped up and sort of shocking the way it like kind of spit it at your face, like here and then, you know, you got a scene in the funeral where you're sad and you see Ripley disappointed, and then all of a sudden, oh crap, you see the dog convulsing and you don't even see his face, but you see like his body convulsing and blood coming out. It's like such a traumatizing sequence, and I think I mean that's what it's such a traumatizing situation. And you know what, I felt deeply eared and unsettled by it, and that's what it was trying to do. So I think it played off well, but you know, at the same time, like whatever, it was just disappointing that the Xenomorph didn't amount to be anything particularly interesting. What do you guys think? So I thought it was interesting how Bishop, when he came back, it's just a weird sequence. It's really like it adds to the depressing value of breakdown, right? This whole film is all about breaking down and, you know, the loss of hope, and you know, there's literally no hope. This is a hopeless situation through and through. And when Bishop comes back, you know, he's a pretty optimistic character. He has no optimism whatsoever here in this sequence where she brings him back from the dead. And he tells her that he'd like to be disconnected, which I thought was strange. You'd think maybe he'd want there'd be some sort of effort to bring him back to be an instrumental figure in this situation. What are we supposed to take away from Bishop's revival scene?
I mean, what I took away from it, this is purely superficial, is that the practical effects there were fucking brilliant. We complained about like the visuals in this movie a fair bit, but those are some amazingly good practical effects to where it honestly it looks like Lance Henriksen in prosthetics, but it isn't. It's a fake head that they made.
Oh crap.
Yeah.
That's not his head at all.
No, that's not him. It's his voice, obviously, but it's a little dummy thing that they made.
Well, that's pretty impressive then.
Yeah, as for him wanting to be switched off, I mean, I guess it fits with everything else. It's the same as what Ripley wants to do. Broadly, like whether it would fit his character, I don't know, because I don't believe he ever gets any acknowledgement as to where he is, only that there has been a crash and he's critically wounded or, you know, damaged because he's a robot. So he does, I don't know, like, do they have the capacity to back up the AI? I mean, if that does exist in Alien, it doesn't exist on this planet. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. There is no way that there could possibly have been a happy ending for Bishop given this movie, because this movie doesn't have a happy ending for anyone.
Yeah.
Which is, it may well be the point. Yeah.
That's exhausting. What are your thoughts, Kyle?
Just adds to the whole shit. Like, I could have said, oh, this movie doesn't just kill off 2 characters, it kills off 3.
Yeah.
Newt, Hicks, and Bishop. Yeah, he killed off 3 off screen, essentially. How very convenient, actually. To me, it's very contrived that, you would, in one go, you just fucking kill off 3 characters. That's very contrived to me. Yeah.
No. And yeah, the Bishop, like, he's such a important person in that first film, and you really grow to love him as like a human, even though he's like a synthetic person, right? And like, he seems like he had all the answers in Aliens, and then here we are in this situation, and it's hopeless, bleak, blah, there's nothing anybody can do.
Yeah.
And I can see that being the case, because like you said, Random, there's like no, like, how could they fix him here? But come on, Bishop, this is your thing. Like, figure something out. It's like, just being surrounded by so much dread. I mean, this movie is the amalgamation of dread, right? And I don't know, being stuck in dread for so long without any promise of success or happiness, it's a slog to get through. And that's not what we had the first 2 movies, and I just don't get why they think that would work for this as an entrance into this franchise at all.
You would think there would be some sort of form of justice for these characters, being so important in the first 2. I can't speak for the second one, but being so important in the previous Alien movies. But yeah,
It would have helped if you had seen Aliens, dude.
I know. I'm disappointed. Like, I feel like I'm missing so much.
I think it's funny. This is an interesting perspective. You don't know any of these characters, and they play. I mean, their roles in this aren't really that important, because they kind of are forgotten and they're passed off like that.
This is how I'm seeing them. Like, it's. I feel like there's so much more to them, from the other movies, and this is the version of them that I see. Like the dread and the despair. That's all I see.
Yeah. I mean, once you watch Aliens, you will hate this movie more.
I know it.
Finally, you're verbalizing it, Random. I just like, I can see the movie as it could have been. You could have had it been darker and still have those characters. All right, so put Newt to sleep. She's off to the side, similar to how Jennifer is treated in Back to the Future 2. But you still have Hicks, and you could possibly kill him off, but make his death worth it. Make it meaningful. Okay? Maybe it was the prisoners that kill him off. Maybe it wasn't the alien. Maybe they go after him because he's a threat to their taking advantage of Ripley, which would make a dynamic even more complicated with those of the prisoners, probably because not every one of the prisoners are the ones that try to assault her. You would have a core group of that, and a divide between the prisoners of the ones who killed Hicks and then ones who didn't, and there would be more of a dynamism in the group setting. It just like, it would make the movie more interesting, because you would have this infighting going on, and it would make characters choose sides and flesh them out more, which would definitely help. Even though you have great actors in this movie, and some of them I like Clemens, I think, is the best character in the movie, next to 85, and they outshine Ripley, believe it or not. So I kind of touched on that before, but yeah, definitely. It's another instance. I would even say that they killed off 4 characters that you liked prematurely. Clemens is wasted within, like 45 minutes or so.
It's almost exactly halfway, which is way too early. Like he is at that point, at least, because I like Dylan a fair bit, but Dylan doesn't really do anything in the first half of the movie. And yeah, they kill off the best character in the film at that point halfway through. I don't know why.
They didn't have to do that either.
They didn't. Yeah. No, they could have had him been within the third act. They could have had him live. And he would have gone with the only one prisoner that lived at the end, which I can't even remember his name. And he had his, weird interactions or whatever. I think he was the guy that got bonked on the head from.
They all look.
I know this is Golik. I always try to remember his name because it sounds like garlic.
They all look the same, but it's not him. That it's two different guys. But
See,
yeah,
that's a testament to this was a mistake to have everyone have their shaved head. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're all like middle-aged, white, bald men that have accents.
I can make a distinction with some of these actors, but the ones that don't stand out as much, they do blend. Case in point, what just happened a moment ago.
Yeah, so like because having characters who look fairly similar to each other is, you can get past that if they have very strong characterization, but they don't. Like in this movie, you've got really, 4 characters? You've got Ripley, who, whether we like or dislike how she's characterized, she is a clear character in the film. You've got 85, who is his own thing, because he's the one guy there who isn't a prisoner. You've got Clemens, who is a doctor who then, chose to be there. He's also, he's got this, I guess, mysterious past, and he isn't just like a mass murderer who's there because prison. And then you've got Dylan, who seems to actually be trying to better himself. He's got like a strong like bond of trust and integrity with these mass murderers. In particular, because like he, when Golic, the guy who kind of loses his mind, when he comes back covered in blood, Dylan assumes that Golic is telling the truth. He has absolutely no reason to believe that Golic, the multiple murderer, has not just killed those guys, but Dylan, trusts him. And I think that's quite interesting. But apart from those
you're right, because it shows insight to their past, and that there's history here within this group of people, and that is good. Good point.
Yeah, but just to finish the point is, apart from them, like that's 4 characters. Apart from them, you've got the prison man, whatever his name is, Andrews. I can't remember.
Yeah,
the
warden.
I can't remember what his title.
Right.
The warden. Sorry. Yeah. You've
Warden
got him,
Andrews.
he's barely in the movie. And then apart from that, every single other character is a bunch of vulgar, bald, religious murderers who all look the same, and they're varying degrees of crazy. Like, I have seen this movie probably at least 6 or 7 times, and I can only remember, I think 2 of their names. Like, there's about 20 of them. They're just extras.
Yeah, you named all the stuff
die.
about Dylan and his experience. Like, I feel like none of these characters, like, I'm glad you said that and you kind of fleshed Dylan's character out a little bit. I think, like, of all the characters, really, I don't even think Aaron is fleshed out well at all. But, Dylan, we get quite a few moments where we get a taste of who he is and, his compassion for the other prisoners and the role he plays. And, he's the only character, especially of the prisoners, that actually stands out like that. And he obviously looks different than everybody else. But
could it be because he's just very verbose and he just tells everyone to shut the fuck up all the time, constantly?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like none of these characters, like Aaron or even Dylan, really have much screen presence either. You think of the characters, you think of the crew members in Alien, and you think of the Marines and Aliens. They had a lot of presence to them, but none of these characters really do. Not even Sigourney Weaver, which is, obviously been a bold, positive for the first 2 movies. I mean, she was easily a standalone character that had a lot of personality and color to her, but here we are in this, and there's just nobody really stands out, and it's so easy to just blank out watching this because nobody stands alone. It's weird. So I don't know how you screw it up that bad where none of the characters are really that interesting, except the doctor. I agree with you. The doctor, he does seem like he has a bit of presence to him, but nothing.
He has a measured confidence. That actor, he's very excellent in the movie.
He looks
very
familiar.
likable.
I wonder.
He's in Game of Thrones.
Okay, is that what it is? All right. Let's get to the chat real quick.
Charles Dance was that.
Charles Dance, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, he's been in a bunch, but yeah, Game of Thrones would be the
Last Action Hero. He's also a great villain in that, so
that'd be a fun one to talk about sometime. Let's see. Yeah, Ben makes a great point here. Great example of excessive studio meddling and really bad judgment, experimental choices. Yeah, isn't that funny? Like the whole studio interference, it's not a totally new concept. Here we are, 1992, and it destroyed this film. That's pretty.
This might be the ultimate example of that. Yeah, it was just, it tarnished a franchise.
It's interesting that a similar thing did not really happen with Aliens, because Cameron and Fincher were at very similar points in their career. I guess the difference is that obviously the script for Aliens is so much better than the script for Alien 3. James Cameron will have had a lot more confidence because he wrote and was going to direct the movie.
Yeah.
And his pitch to Fox will have been a lot stronger rather than being, in the case of Fincher, just a hired gun, hired to make a movie that hadn't even been written yet. So
Yeah.
I guess they felt like they could push Fincher around more, whereas with Cameron, they read his script and they were like, this is fucking amazing. Just do that, please. That's my guess, but yeah.
Well, he also did some, he went through political moves making and gearing up to make Aliens. He's a strong personality. We all know that. And, he's treated people poorly on set, or very aggressively, I should say. And it's because of that personality that he got the movie done the way that he wanted. And it's why it's the movie that we revere today still.
Yeah.
I like what Ian says here. I'm totally on board with this statement. I bet some people were thinking when the xenomorph burst from the dog, they were thinking, wait, did John Carpenter direct this? Yeah, definitely had those vibes.
Yeah, I could see that.
It looked
I could
just
see
like that
Ian.
scene, shot for shot. Very good, Ian. Very good. Small chap. I love the assembly cut. Wow, you love it. Good for you.
Why?
Gandalf, why are you wearing that funny headdress? It's not doesn't look very good on you, Gandalf.
I think that wasn't that an outtake?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that real? That was an outtake.
real.
Like, it's a real
That's
outtake
not
from
what it
the
is.
behind the scenes. Yeah.
I think it was the props department just gave Ian McKellen that, and then they just filmed a scene with it.
Right.
He pretended that he wasn't wearing it just to see what reactions the others were going to give.
What is that thing?
I think it's
It looks
just
like something an old lady would
It's just
wear.
it's just extra hair,
Yeah.
headdress type
That's
of thing.
funny. Nice. All right, Mega Spider-Man. Charles Dance will apparently play Christopher Dent, Harvey Dent's father, in the Batman Part 2 next year. Charles Dance, wait a second. He's super old now, isn't he?
He is 79. Yeah, he's
Okay, that's
old.
pretty old.
He's younger than Harrison Ford, please.
Was he in what was it, 1923?
Charles?
Yeah.
Not that I recall.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking of a different old man, not Harrison Ford. I'm not mixing
There you
those
go.
two up.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's get on to the next chapter, everybody. This is going to be interesting. Oh, yes. We are going to talk about Clemens some more, everybody's favorite character. Let me see. Do I have a picture of him? There we go. Perfect. Awesome. So, during Ripley's rehab with Clemens, which they have been kind of carefully growing attracted to each other. And, at this point in time, they've been revealing secrets that they've kept to themselves for a long time about Clemens' past and whatever else. And they're finally starting to connect. There's some bit of chemistry there, even though I think a lot of it's manufactured. And while in the medical bay, Clemens just dies shockingly, just on the spot. The dog Xenomorph comes and lunges at him, and he just dies right then and there. Very, very shocking. You didn't see that coming. And shortly after, the warden gets killed as well. Strangely enough, when the Xenomorph, it comes right on up to Ripley, and it doesn't kill her, doesn't do anything. It just gives her a good sniff, and then it prances away. So it's like, okay, what's going on here? Obviously, there's something special going on with Ripley, right? So in order to counteract the Xenomorph, who is now, tearing apart the prisoners, she rallies the prisoners, and they attempt to flush the alien out with flammable waste in the vents. Unfortunately, the plan backfires with heavy casualties. A lot of these prisoners die because of this, and that's pretty much it. It's a failed attempt. Doesn't go very far. It's, everybody's kind of stuck in these giant, I don't know, steel rooms. And it's pretty much just a ticking time bomb, flames, engulf a lot of these guys, and they die. But it doesn't really matter because we don't know any of them. There's not really any reason to like them. They're not likable, and nobody really stands out. So it's a quick moment that you just forget about instantly. Like when I think about this, because I know we lightly touched on it, and if there isn't much more to say about it, we'll just keep moving. But the prisoners, it's like this whole film, the prisoners are an important subject matter in this, right? I mean, we spend so much time hearing about their stories, learning about their past. We spend a lot of time with them and Ripley and them against each other. And obviously, they're all sort of reformed men, even though they're in this terrible prison landscape where there's no way to escape. There's no freedom really outside of these caged walls. So is there really anything that makes them like, is there anything that you can grasp to differentiate them, even though they look similar?
Yes.
What is it then?
Yeah. Can you put us on big screen for this moment?
Sure.
Because I think not a lot of people they've not talked about this. So the character of Junior, who is the one that almost assaults Ripley, in this moment when the explosions are going off, you can tell me if this is in the theatrical cut or not. Maybe it's not, because I know they don't lock the alien in the storage bay in the theatrical cut. Is that correct?
That's correct. The extra bit with Golek, that's extended only.
They never lock it in there.
Yeah, correct.
All right. So in the assembly cut, they expand some character dynamics, and what they do with Junior is they have a moment after Ripley and he put out the flames of one of the prisoners. They just exchange a look, right? And it's a subtle look, but I really appreciate it. In fact, I loved what they eventually did with it just thereafter. Without any words, the guy gets up when they realize that the alien is coming down the hallway, and he says, "Come and get me, motherfucker," essentially, like, "Come on," and he leads him into that storage bay so that they can lock it in, and we hear the screams of him dying as he gets eaten alive. That character is not fleshed out hardly at all, but it just, within a few minutes, it gave a character arc, and I thought that was really cool. That's a really awesome aspect to the assembly cut, and the movie needed a little bit more of that. And they could have expanded it a bit more, having more, the way they shoot it, the exchange, the look between Junior and Ripley is done in a medium wide. It's not, they don't have any close-ups really, and maybe that's a result of the rushed production, and it just doesn't do it as much justice. If you're just watching the movie casually, you're not going to pay attention as much or be affected and see into that the way that I was just paying attention because the reason with that Junior character is it's played by the actor who eventually went on to work with David Fincher numerous times. In Fight Club and maybe a couple others, but more recently in Mindhunters.
Yes, yeah, Mindhunter is amazing.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
So he has a long history with Fincher, which shows that he is a good actor. He's a great actor, in fact. He's an underrated actor. He's a character actor, etc. And he shows that in this movie, in the assembly cut at least. In the theatrical, he's a stick figure, essentially.
That's a shame. Yeah, you make a good point. I feel like the shots, we don't get any close-ups on any of these characters, and those are usually like those character defining moments where you differentiate and you invest in somebody because it's very real, and you see their expressions and you see who they are and the way they react. You see that they're human, for Pete's sakes. And none of these characters really strike me as human too much because we're kind of viewing them from an outside perspective. It's not very inclusive. We're not in on the action. We're sort of seeing it from a bird's eye view most of the time. So that's a good call. I feel like there was more opportunities to flesh them out in this cat and mouse routine if they had more of a heroic sequence. Like, a lot of it was very repetitive, like we've said before, them going back and forth down the hall left and right, and it literally looks like the same guy doing the same thing like five times over. And it's because everybody looks the same, every hallway looks the same, it's all lit up the same way, which is hideous, and then everybody dies the same. So really it's so uninspiring.
The first time that I saw this movie on VHS way back when, probably in the late 90s, this is literally the impression that this movie gave me was that it was just people running in smoky brown repetitive hallways. That's it, and being chased by the alien. That's it. That's literally the impression that the movie gave onto me. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine like the old VHS resolution, right? It's like, oh, didn't I just see this scene? Wait, am I rewinding? That's funny. Yeah, we take for granted what we have now. Do you have any thoughts, random, real quick?
This part of the movie to me is when the holes in the script start appearing, because it's not just that it's like, well, oh, these are creative decisions that I disagree with or I don't think work for one reason or another. It's that this is just like self-contained, fundamentally bad shit happening like one after another, because I'd forgotten how quickly this happens. In the assembly cut, it's a bit different because we have the extra sequence. So the pacing of the film, even though it's longer, I think is better in the assembly cut. But in the original cut, the theatrical, the alien happens to show up and kill the best character halfway through the movie. He kills Clemens. I don't really know why that happens. It's just like, well, I guess the alien happened to be nearby and it kills him because he's there. And
Charles Dance was a friend with one of the Fox executives. Fuck him, Fincher said. I'm just making that up.
And then like 5 minutes later, the alien then disappears, and then Andrews is telling everyone, oh, there's no alien, don't worry, everything's fine. And then the alien just jumps out of the vent and kills him in the middle of everyone where everyone can see it. So it causes as much panic as possible. It's like the worst thing that could possibly happen, and I don't know why the alien would do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't know that they can't hurt it. And then when they're doing the booby trap with the toxic goo that they're putting on the walls, it happens to kill the guy with the fucking match, which causes everything to go horribly wrong. So it's just boom, boom, boom. The alien spawns into exactly where it needs to be so that the worst possible thing can happen at the worst possible time. And this is exactly halfway into the movie. It really felt like the script was like, okay, things have to start happening now because we've established all the characters and now it's go time. So they just, spawn the alien to where it needs to be.
It makes you respect how intelligent the aliens were in the first two, right? Gosh.
I mean, yeah, Jesus.
I mean, were they really that smart in Aliens though?
In Aliens, they definitely dumb down how smart they are, but the Queen is intelligent.
Yeah.
We get scenes for the Queen. That is one of the criticisms some people have of Aliens, is that individually they are just bugs to be splatted. Whereas the first one, I mean, this is largely because of the gun thing as well, I guess. But in the first one of these things, it's not just a threat, it's evil, it's sadistic, it's not just a bug.
I would say that in Aliens, there is that moment that's nonverbal where the Queen motions them away. She doesn't even motion them away. She just looks at them and they back off from interfering with the situation, the standoff. Yeah, they were smarter than the alien in Alien 3. So,
yeah. I mean,
there's a moment where in Alien 3 in the third act where it's like flailing around like an upset child,
Oh gosh.
There is one moment in Alien 3 where it seems to be being intelligent, which is in like towards the end, but it seems out of character, honestly, because it has been shown to just be a dumb, rabid dog, essentially.
That's so lame too. What a teardown of a character. Like there's so much promise with the Xenomorph. I bet with the newer films they probably do that frequently. It's more of a creature feature. Is that right?
So with the aliens specifically in AVP, they are just dumb monsters. In Requiem, they are dumb monsters. In Prometheus, the aliens are not in the film, so that's not really a valid one. And
the deacon at the end, I
don't think that counts. Well, okay, let's say that it counts, it doesn't make any decisions, so we can't. You see it, and then the credits roll.
Yeah.
And then in Covenant, again, they're just dumb monsters. So yeah, the last time the aliens are intelligent, actually, there is a very brief moment in AVP which I don't hate, which is when I don't want to say it, but it involves the aliens using their acid blood for themselves, like as a tool to get a job done.
Oh wow.
And I thought that was neat. Something like that happens in Resurrection as well. That's the only time that we see that in the Alien movies. That's smart. But apart from that, you got nothing in any of the movies after Aliens.
Do they use their acid blood to like disintegrate a part of them that's trapped under something?
No, because their skin is immune to the acid. Essentially,
Okay. Never mind then. I tried.
They use it. They use it to melt through something that they need to melt through. And in both Resurrection and AVP, I don't like the movies, but those are, I think, cool moments.
Cool. Real quick, I have a question about Charles Dance's character, Dr. Clemens. Everybody here has positive things to say about him. I agree. I think he's definitely an interesting character. Really one of the only ones in this whole film. Does his like relationship or like romance with Ripley, does it work? Does it feel real, or does it feel like they just put it in there for, I don't know, to make things interesting?
I don't know. I didn't see it coming.
Well, the aspect to the reason why it happens is she deflects from the questions of what's really going on that he asks her. And I think it's in conjunction with she actually does like him, and she can sense that he's attracted to her. I mean, everyone in the prison, would sleep with her essentially, but he's coming from a more genuine place, and he's gentlemanly. And she sees that, but she's also deflecting when he's asking about what's really going on with why did you have me do the to look into the cavity of Newt, essentially. And so but he doesn't stop, so he's a smart character. Even after they sleep together, he's still calling her out on that, which adds to why we like his character, why he's likable, because he's not an idiot. And he even says, he's like, since I'm not a complete idiot,
Yeah, there's a couple of lines like that this movie does not really have a sense of humor, apart from one or two lines. One of them being that, which is just after the fucking autopsy, which is not a funny scene.
Right.
And the other one is just after Dylan rescues Ripley from being attacked. And he says, it's the only time in the movie that it actually makes me laugh genuinely, because it is a funny line, is he says, "Get out of here. I need to re-educate some of the brothers."
No, I think the moment that outdoes that for humor is the moment in the cafeteria when Andrews gets pulled up in the ceiling, and one of the prisoners, there's a beat of silence, and then he's just holding a chair and fuck. Yeah, that was it.
Enjoyed that.
Nice. It's the only highlights. That's funny. Yeah, it's definitely that. I mean, I guess this film's a good example of how you do need some level of humor. And I mean, there has to be some moments where you can take a breath and relax, or else it's just, it's so bleak that it just brings you down, right? I mean, I think every movie needs a bit of that. Definitely don't overhaul it like what we're used to seeing anymore. But, something that I thought was funny, which is, definitely a pattern for Ripley in this film. Of course, so she makes this connection with this dude. And, I wasn't sold. They really didn't spend much time together. I don't get it. Like, they don't look good together. I don't think they complement each other very well. I don't see it. I felt like it was a forced insert, but,
it partially is. It partially is.
Well, yeah. Well, there you go. So I'm not, all right. My intuition paid off for once. But what I thought was funny is, for all this going for, they like each other, she didn't really react to his death. So he dies, and then here's another example of her just moving on instantly. Was there a second thought about him? Like,
good point.
Is there a creative reason for this? Like, is she so cold and dark and lost that she's just numb to it all?
Yeah. Yeah, she becomes just despondent, depressing, and wants to off herself. That's it. By the midway point of this movie, she's literally begging Dillons to kill her, and without any regard to the fact that she is the only one who has the advantage of killing the alien, but she doesn't give a fuck. It's just kill me and fuck you guys. You can just die off, and the alien will live on and kill you guys. But just kill me. Just make sure you kill me first. The backwards order of things. Okay. And Dylan's is the smart one. Dylan is the smart one to realize, fuck you. You're gonna help us. Yeah.
Are you Dylan? I bet you're Dylan.
What do you mean?
Are you Dylan in this movie?
Would I be that character in this situation?
Yeah, Dylan?
I'd be some combination of, I guess I would have introspective moments the way that Clemens does, and then Dylan, I would have, what the fuck, that type of thing, calling out Ripley in the situation of, no, you're not going to go kill yourself. You're the one that can actually approach this alien and have the advantage over it. It literally cowers in a corner as you approach it. Oh, while you're doing that, someone off to the side can fucking take a pipe and shove it through its head.
I think, I watched Aliens again before seeing this, and man, I love watching Aliens. I'm a huge Aliens fan. Thanks to everything I've heard on YouTube and our stream, made me love it even more. And I was reminded that poor Ripley, she's really this isn't what she wants to do at all. She didn't want to join the Marines and aliens, and even worse yet, here she is, and she's thrown into the same problem all over again. So I mean, I kind of understand why she would want to just fold and give up and die on the spot. I mean, I can't imagine how awful and horrifying it would be facing more aliens. I mean, it's like, geez, it never ends. And I don't totally blame her for just wanting it to be over based off all of the terrible things that are happening and the fact that she's going to be dead any minute now anyway. And, she's probably flooded with all sorts of terrible thoughts and feelings, knowing that first off, she's going to die no matter what. And that, at the end of the day, she is the host of something evil. And, the longer we wait, the bigger the chances are that it's going to erupt out of her and they'll lose their chance to kill the alien queen. So I don't know. I see a bit of that, but at the same time, we'd all like to think, oh no, we'll make the right choice. But I mean, who's to say any of us could really do that?
Everybody that she cares about is dead.
Yeah.
The writers did that. They made this character hopeless. They painted themselves in a corner. They fucked up.
That's for sure.
She has no motivation.
No.
And therefore, we don't relate to that character anymore.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And that's a shame, I heard, with Resurrection, I heard that, I haven't seen it obviously, but clearly she comes back, and I heard she has like alien powers, or she has like some level of that, and I kind of I am a little curious to see what that looks like. But
she's semi-superhuman.
Ooh, wow, very special. I kind of like her hair in it. I've seen pictures. I kind of like the hair. She looks more like the Predator with that hair, though. No hits to Sigourney Weaver, though. That's not on her. But something.
No, she looked best in Galaxy Quest, dude.
Ooh, you're right. You're right. That was her best performance, hands down. But she actually did look pretty good in that. That was
I'm serious.
Wasn't
I'm not kidding.
50? Wasn't she 50 in that? Probably. She was on the older end.
She was in her 40s at least. But yeah, she looked great in that.
Yeah, she did. She
looks great
now
as
you
a
get
blonde.
to see her in Mandalorian and Grogu. Ooh.
No thanks. I'm not seeing that.
No.
I'm done with Star Wars.
Oh, God.
After I walked out of Rise of Skywalker, I swore it off, and I haven't returned. I haven't watched a single fucking frame of any Star Wars TV show, and I'm not going to.
That's good.
Andor's amazing.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe it is, but they've when you've been burned, you don't go back to the fire.
Oh, I totally agree with you, which is why it took me, I think, 3 years for me to come back and watch Andor, just because so many people have been like, you have to watch it. And honestly, my view at this point is that the movies are supplemental. Andor is Star Wars. Andor is the best Star Wars content that exists.
Whoa,
that's how good.
You're
that's
crazy.
how good
praise.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah.
You're crazy, bro. Wow, the best.
Wait, so you disagree with him?
The best of any film as well, the original trilogy.
In order for me to properly commit to that position, I would need to rewatch Andor at least twice more, because it's difficult to say, because obviously the OT is just iconic, and I think I first saw it when it was when The Phantom Menace came out. So yeah, I think I was 8. Yeah, and it's difficult to compare something that you've seen 100 times to something that's just come out, and it's obviously a TV show. Tonally, it's very different, but especially with regard to its complexity, Andor is more impressive, I think. I don't think it will ever be remembered as fondly as the OT, but I would say that Andor is probably
It
better.
is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Wow. All right. Disney loves that, by the way.
The
Finally,
endorsement.
they did something right. The YouTubers, they applaud them for once.
And
Right.
it'll never happen again.
Nope, that was it. Enjoy it.
Well, I'm an outlier when it comes to Star Wars because I didn't see the original trilogy until I was in my early 20s.
Wow.
And my reaction to it was, it's okay.
Wow.
It's okay.
All right. Sad face.
It's not my type of movie that I fall in love with. I think there are two camps of people: the people that love Star Wars very dearly, and there are people that are more pragmatic when it comes to movies, and like Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park, more of adventure films that
those
are
are two
heightened
different
but are
ones.
still
Yeah.
grounded rather than fantastical.
I see that. Yeah, I'm more on the Star Wars end of that. But yeah, I see people kind of going into those avenues, either one or the other. But yeah, they're kind of similar though. They are kind of, they feel like they're in the same zone. But obviously, they're pretty different titles. One last quick question of this chapter before we move on. And this is something that disappointed me about this. And the question is, does this film's jump scares and the alien kills, were they in any way on par with the value that we saw from the Xenomorph and its hunts from Alien and Aliens?
It's a good question, and the answer is no.
I agree.
I think the only memorable death from the alien itself in Alien 3 is the Warden. I don't like the scene, but it's memorable because it jumps out of the pipe directly above him and pulls him up into it, and it's ridiculous, but it's memorable.
But
Arguably-
repetitious because Clemens had just been brought up into the ceiling.
exactly.
So they're trying to say moves, dance moves.
Apart from that, I guess Dylan, but I'm probably remembering that a little bit more because I like the character. Because the way he goes down is pretty generic, and I mean, it is heroic. It does what it needs to do, but there is nothing particularly special about the death scene. No.
Yeah, but what's happening is special. And the fact that he's like, he's sacrificing himself and he's holding on to dear life as he's being pulled apart to buy them time. I mean, that's a pretty crazy concept. So I could see how that stands out. But you don't see any of that, right? I mean, there's nothing really that visually striking about, the Xenomorph lunging.
There's a couple of shots in it that I like where you get the complete overhead shot with the smoke. David Fincher is very good with smoke, by the way. So is James Cameron and Ridley Scott. But yeah, where you can see like the alien just kind of rushes him, and it goes into the smoke, and then you get the close up and you kind of see what it's doing, but it's just frantic. It's not like gory or whatever. It's just frantic movement while he's yelling. And yeah, I mean, if I didn't like the character, I probably wouldn't remember that scene. So that we've got at best 2 memorable death scenes in this movie. Because as we said, like all of the other characters are just extras who are there to die. And it happens repeatedly. Like this movie has a higher body count than either of the previous 2.
Yeah.
And you don't feel anything because it doesn't matter. Like even if the characters were fleshed out a bit, they are all essentially the same thing as each other. They are all criminals on a life sentence. They're all murderers and worse. And they all, they all have the same job. They all look the same. They all speak the same. So there's nothing really to differentiate them. And they are there because they are bad people. So we're not given anywhere near enough for us to care when they die. Apart
One of the
from in
actors.
case of, like, Dylan.
Sorry, you're doing finish.
Yeah, in the case of Dylan and Clemens, we understand enough about them to where they have absolutely done very bad things. But we understand enough to where when they go, you actually feel something when they go. Everyone else, no.
Yeah, Clemens the most because it's so premature. There's an actor in this movie, Pete Postlethwaite, that they completely waste.
Yeah,
he's a
Is he one of the
tertiary
prisoners?
just back. Yeah, he's a
Is he one of
background
these?
character. He's not even in that shot. This is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
he's a great actor. And he doesn't have any significant scenes. Maybe the most is when they explain the backstory to 85's nickname.
he's in. If you've seen The Usual Suspects, he's in that. I believe he was in the Romeo and Juliet Baz Luhrmann film as well.
He's the hunter in the Lost World Jurassic Park.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Roland, whatever his name is, Tembo, I think. Yeah. Man, it's been a while since I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Real quick, Mega, did Brawler read out my super chat about Alien 3 and Resurrection, or my message hoping he has random on? Yeah, I mentioned the second one. I didn't see a super chat, Mega, so it must not have went through. What's your question? Read out my about Alien 3 and Resurrection. No, sorry, man, haven't seen it. You'll have to let us know. Let's see what everybody says in the chat real quick. We appreciate you all for sticking around and listening. It's always good hearing these guys talk about.
Thanks for
Alien.
being sticky.
Yep, thanks for being sticky. Hey, Brawler, not every prisoner are the same. Junior has a teardrop tattoo. Yeah.
That's a good detail.
It doesn't look cool. It doesn't look cool on him either. It's a little much. Yeah,
well,
those teardrops
it makes
tiny.
It makes the guy a little more distinct, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is
no,
true.
Fucking
yeah.
shaved
But we don't
head
know his name, and we don't know anything else he does other than stand there
and try to assault Ripley eventually.
Oh,
yeah. So
That's
there's
right.
that too.
Good.
And then he puts on the fucking This is a weird thing that he does. He puts on these goggles right before he's about to do it.
Yeah.
And he screams, which is a moment. It feels straight out of Mad Max.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually I thought it was outrageous in a good way. You know,
Nice.
not what he was doing, but the way that he was behaving. You know.
Oh, let's see. What's Ian talking about here? He's mentioning Galaxy Quest. Weaver says the blonde wig in Galaxy Quest. Oh, Sigourney Weaver. Made her feel like her IQ was dropping. I'd say she looks like she definitely has a low IQ with no hair at all. Man, let's see.
Yeah.
Nah, I think she looks kind of, I don't know, maybe a little bit, looks a little dumb.
It's not about her IQ. It's about her will to live. Yeah, that's what it is.
Hey, LJ, oh wait, sorry. You want to say something random?
I was going to say very quickly, she's not dumb in this movie. She just doesn't really care about anything.
Yeah.
And whether that is in or out of character is kind of a separate question. It's more of like, why did you choose to do this to this character?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's the Last Jedi Luke Skywalker thing. Like, obviously, it's horrendously out of character. We can argue about whether Ripley is here, but just the idea on the face of it, why did you want to tell that story? I don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and part of it, we know that it had in her contract for Sigourney that she said she wants to get killed off. But it's the events that led to them eventually doing Alien 4 is just baffling. Okay, so you wanted to kill the character off, which I have a theory about this that just came to mind. I wonder if she did that shit so that her salary was higher. She said, "I'm not coming back." So then they think, "Oh shit, this is the last time we do it. We got to pay her a lot." I wonder if that was a strategy of hers.
Potentially, because with Resurrection, as far as I'm aware, she was completely on board with it. She wasn't like, "Now you can't resurrect her, it undermines everything else." She was on board with it for some reason.
Right, and then the next movie she makes, when they figure out how to bring her back, it's like, "Oh, look at this opportunity. She's been dead, and now we have a doorway to get her back. We got to pay her more." So she's actually creating value by making the character scarce.
That's sad. Can people just come on, Sigourney?
Which is the principle of what makes something valuable. So
it worked.
Yeah.
Worked for her.
I guess good on her for earning the big bucks, but creatively, shame on her.
Definitely shame. LJ's digging us a new one here. Not every movie needs a sense of humor. It's a movie about the perfect killing machine on a prison planet. How soft are we that we need levity in every movie? Nah, man, just a little bit. I don't know. I think it's helpful.
To clarify what I was saying, I wasn't saying that it was good or bad. I was saying that this movie does not have a sense of humor. I don't think that that's necessarily a criticism, but it does mean that when you get goofy ass scenes like the one that was just described with Junior putting on his goggles and doing a Mad Max thing right before he's about to do something horrible, like that could work in Mad Max, but it's way too over the top and like comical for a film like this. And the reaction to everything surrounding the warden getting eaten, it doesn't fit with the tone throughout the rest of the movie, which is like bleak as all hell. Like if I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, but Wind River is one of the most bleak movies I have ever seen. I don't know if there is a single joke in that movie. It's
That's
fantastic.
a newer one, isn't it?
Yeah,
With Jeremy Renner.
I think
Is he in that?
2019.
That's the Taylor
Yes.
Sheridan movie.
Taylor Sheridan and Jeremy Renner. Yeah, fantastic movie. I love it.
Before he ruined Yellowstone.
Yeah, that's right. Right before.
See, the thing, I haven't seen Yellowstone, but I have a very positive view of Taylor Sheridan. Maybe that's why, because I really like all of his movies.
No, it started off great, and I would recommend the first 3 seasons, but don't continue on from there.
Falls off hard.
Yeah, they
Okay,
should have kept
fair
the show 3 seasons, and that's it. And it would have been, they would have figured it out, and it would have been an epic show.
But yeah, like you can do kind of what I'm talking about is like tonal consistency. Like you can do goofy humor, and you can mix it up. It's difficult to do. Like Shaun of the Dead does this a little bit, because when Shaun of the Dead is trying to be, serious and heartfelt, it is serious and heartfelt. It's not undercutting it with comedy. And that's why it works. And then you have the very silly comedic scenes that might use similar subject matter. Obviously, people dying and turning into zombies, like that is horrible. But with someone like Edgar Wright, when he was making good movies, they can pull that off. With this, it didn't work, I don't think.
Yeah, I like that you kind of pushed me over to realizing the tonal inconsistency, or the way that it doesn't fit into the movie, of having a serious scene where she's about to get assaulted by a group of men, and then it gets played like it's out of Mad Max. I like it on its own, but yeah, no, its totality, it does a disservice to the seriousness of the situation. Yeah.
Man, good job.
Like,
boys.
I mean, honestly, thinking about it, Aliens would be a good example of how to do this right, because Aliens is, bleak would be the wrong word, but Aliens is a very intense, threatening, terrifying movie. And because of how like larger than life a lot of the characters are, you get quite a bit of comedy from watching them deal with this situation. Like Hudson and Vasquez's relationship is great, and it's often quite funny, even when they're fighting for their lives. Because when James Cameron is kind of handling the different moments that they have, he remembers that they are always the same character. Whereas in Alien 3, Junior is not really a character, at least in the theatrical cut. He has this one scene where he's a goofy goober, and then he gets beaten up.
Hudson, okay. Hudson's not Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton, who's he?
Hudson is Bill Paxton.
Oh, it is Bill Paxton. Okay, good. Okay, my bad. Who was I'm thinking of Vasquez and that dude.
Oh, Drake.
Dies.
Drake.
Okay. That's who I mixed them up with. My bad. Because you said relationship, and I'm like, okay, those two kind of had the hots for each other. But we didn't really see much of them.
When I said relationship, I didn't mean romantic, but yeah.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, you could take your pick with characters from Aliens, because they are all, to one degree or another, they are all kind of larger than life and exaggerated a little bit. At least all of the military characters
definitely.
are.
And it works, it's
yeah,
fun.
it works.
It makes
It's
it
great.
way better. Yeah. Not as bleak. Add some flavor to the mix. Real quick, let me get to the next chapter here, chapter 4. So this is when Ripley starts to believe that, oh crap, I think I might have a xenomorph in me. So she scans herself in the EEV, and she discovers and determines, which I think is a little interesting, she determines that she has an alien queen embryo inside of her. I'm definitely curious to hear what we all have to say about that soon. And good news, everybody, the rescue team is on the way. Thank goodness. Oh, wait, but to Ripley, that's not good news. It's actually really bad news, because they're a bunch of dickheads, and clearly they are coming to bring Ripley in to obtain the specimen that she's carrying. That's the only reason they're coming to rescue them. So it's sort of like, like you said, Aaron, he thinks it's great. 89, I think that's his name, or 87. He's 85. Like, oh, great, I get to 85. Man, I was way off. All right. But yeah, he's happy. Oh, great, I get to go home to my family. No, she's not into that. And I can see both sides of this story, right? I mean, the goodness of humanity is at stake here. I mean, if they get a hold of the embryo inside of her, then it's lights out, right? So she's obviously not into that, and she's begging Dylan to kill her at this point. And he agrees only to kill her once she's done helping destroy the other alien first. So that's sort of the agreement. Mm-hmm. And my question is, like, I thought this was weird, and maybe there's something deeper. Maybe this is something that the assembly cut covers. How was she able to determine that she had an alien queen embryo inside of her? Because that's quite a revelation. That, I mean, that's not just a normal xenomorph. This is a huge deal, having a queen in her. Where did she get that idea from?
It's a good question. The only visual indication to me is that there was a slight curve to the back of the head of the embryo. It was so subtle that I would still ask the question of how did she know?
I mean, the simple answer is that she knows because the script told her that there is no way, because she's never seen, like, she's seen like a chest burster once, because I wouldn't count Aliens because she saw it through a recorder, so that doesn't count. She's seen one once. It was a hugely traumatic moment. She saw it for about 5 seconds. There's no way she knows what this thing looks like well enough to know what a queen embryo looks like when she's never seen a queen embryo before. There's no way.
Yep. And it's good expansion of what I was saying. Also, additionally to that, is she's asked, how did that get implanted in you? And she literally says, I don't know. Sometime in the EEV, I guess. It's like lazy fucking writing, guys.
Yeah.
They literally say that because the writers themselves didn't know how to fit that in. Because it would take a gestation period with the face hugger on her fucking face, and it would have been on her
In
when she
recent
crash
time,
landed on the prison planet.
And yeah, like, as far as the film tells us, both versions of the film, there was only one egg, there was only one face hugger, which means that either way, this particular face hugger was able to do its thing twice, which has never been a thing. And then this leads to a whole bunch of like fan theories where this happens all the time with like Star Wars, and it drives me nuts, where people are trying to scramble to make sense of either bad writing or just mistakes. Where, it was a different type of face hugger, or that face huggers actually carry 2 embryos in case they need to start a new colony. Like, why? Where are we getting this from? And the other bit is that, gestation period. Because it's a queen, it's longer. Why would it be longer? Why would it be, over a week? And it's just, it's trying to plug holes in the gestation times being wildly different depending on which movie you're watching.
I'd like to see that process of the queen like growing and like coming out and seeing if it's different, like a different process. That would be interesting. But
when it bursts out at the end, it's bigger. That's the physical.
Oh, you're right.
difference.
Yeah. So I mean, it looks pretty much the same though. I'm just talking about like its growth and like where it goes from then after it's done.
Afterwards,
first, I mean? That could be interesting. Yeah, that's weird. I think the only excuse for that would be there'd have to be 2 aliens on the ship. Like, I mean, I don't know how you could justify it further than that if no other films, confirm.
The actual justification is like going from what we get in the film. In the theatrical cut, there is no justification. It's just complete bullshit, and you have to buy it. In the assembly cut, you see the face hugger, and it is clearly a different kind of face hugger.
Oh.
It's like double the size. It's got like webbing in between its fingers. It is they don't name it, but one of the prisoners finds its corpse and picks it up. He's like, "Hey man, what's this?"
Yeah, and it doesn't faze him at all. It's fucking ridiculous. Even in the assembly cut, he just holds it up after they've dragged in the dead ox, and he just holds it up, and it's a wide shot. Hey, what's this?
I saw that. I think
don't call 85 low IQ when that motherfucker just held up an alien organism and was not phased at all by that.
I don't know if you can show it on the stream, but I've just linked you, Brawler, an image of this is literally what it looks like, and this is this guy just standing there like, oh, what is this? I wonder. It's like this giant fucking hell spider. Like,
oh yeah, I see. Let me see how I can do this.
So yeah,
I don't normally do this. Let me try. Give me 1 second.
It obviously looks very different to a normal face hugger.
Wow, that thing is enormous.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I like what Broken Cowl 13 said, where in Romulus it's 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds of gestation with the face hugger. Absurd.
I think probably the worst versions of like
Wow.
condensing the gestation time is the first AVP and then Romulus. Both of those are just insane.
Yeah, it's just all over the place.
Disturbing.
Look at that thing.
Yeah, no, he looks like he just picked up a piece of poop
You would be
for dog poop, and he's like, "What is it? This is inconvenient."
Can you imagine holding a snake like that? And a facehugger is so much scarier than a snake. Like, what is that?
Oh my
He has no idea.
gosh. That's freaky, bro.
He doesn't even know if that thing is dead or alive. He holds it up with no qualms whatsoever, no resistance, no fear whatsoever. Either that guy is a fucking moron, or he should be the lead of the movie. You pick.
That's funny. Good picture, random. That's great. Yeah, I like the look of that face hugger. I
It's
want one of
cool.
those. I want a really nice face hugger, like doll thing. I'm seeing them now. I want it. I want it bad. I don't know what to do with it, but I want one. Put it on my wall or something.
Hey, Brawler,
Hang it from
maybe
the
they
ceiling.
make pillow versions of that. And then
Ooh, like a body pillow.
yeah, there you go.
With the finger arms.
Yeah.
Ew, that
Mhm.
is gross. Ew, imagine like a xenomorph body pillow. That's for the real freaks out there. Oh, that's funny. Nice. Like real quick, this is probably obvious, but Wayland Yutani, I think it's interesting. I love learning just every film you learn that, man, they just get more and more evil. And is it supposed to be like Wayland Yutani is like a jab at like American corporations, capitalism? Is that sort of what it's going for, or is it sort of just its own thing?
I mean, you could read it that way, I guess. Like the first time, because the company is never, it's not Wayland Yutani. It's just referred to as the company in the first movie. And then James Cameron kind of expanded on that. So the whole Wayland Yutani evil corporation thing, that kind of came from James Cameron. But obviously he was building on things that were there in the first movie. And I mean, yeah, essentially it's an evil corporation who wants to get filthy rich by having giant alien space weapons. We don't really get any. Thing is, it's difficult to talk about because they go into this in Alien Earth, and Alien Earth is garbage. So I'm trying to eject that from my brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, Wayland Yutani is a corporation who cares about profit and money above all, and they are willing to just kill people in order to get what they want. To get this particularly dangerous specimen to turn it into a biological weapon.
Yeah, when I see
it's almost
evil,
paralleling the studio that made this movie. They're just going to get it out for that pre-planned release date, and they weren't going to move. Oh, it's like they did it all for profits instead of creative artistic integrity.
Yeah, it just seems like you have James Cameron attached to this, of course, and him and his brilliant ideals. I thought, oh, evil corporation, James Cameron, come on, it meant something. But yeah, I've loved learning about Wayland Yutani, and I think as terrible as that Predator, the new Predator Badlands was, I liked the addition of having Wayland Yutani like in the picture, but the movie was so terrible. Oh my gosh. If it weren't for YouTube, I would have left early. That was unacceptable. Did you see that, Kyle? The new
Badlands?
Predator? Yeah.
No.
No.
Does everyone in the so random? You haven't seen it?
No.
Right.
I'll probably watch it when it arrives on Disney Plus. Just out of morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Luke?
Absolutely not. No.
No.
I did not waste any time. I mean,
What was
no,
the movie? We almost walked out of Jurassic World.
Oh,
That's
that
what it was.
I mean,
we saw that together.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Hold on a second. If
The
I'm
new
not
one.
mistaken. Yeah. But Luke, didn't you like it though? Or am I mistaking?
No, I was
Okay.
definitely around
Definitely
the
not him.
lobby.
I'm mistaking.
hated it.
It was the same time we did the movie Roundup, and I'm merging your opinion of Superman with that,
Oh god.
which you did like.
Okay,
So
I didn't love it. I liked. Hey, everyone else.
I didn't say you loved it. I said you liked it,
You
and
love
I
it,
still
though.
hold it against you.
You should.
It was a I don't like it like when it comes to like the story of Superman. I like the acting and like the just the
You liked him
story.
being a crybaby for 2 hours.
Okay.
You liked him getting punched in the crotch and then fall into a baseball stadium. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that the female villain or.
Oh
her
yeah,
character.
whatever.
With the terrible shots that are like, you know.
Yeah, Superman
That's
flying.
great.
That is so lame. It's all right,
whatever.
Luke. It's all right. Real quick, back to the subject, boys. Having too much fun over here. Superman. Yeah. So Dylan's character, everybody's had pretty positive things to say about him. What in what ways do you think his character added value to the story?
He was kind of this is one of the problems with the film, because I like him and I like Clemens. I think they're both good characters, but they each kind of occupy separate halves of the movie. I don't even know if they share a scene. If they do share a scene, it's when someone's talking to a crowd of people. I don't remember a conversation between the two of them, and I watched the film earlier today. So yeah, I mean, they essentially kill off Clemens, and then from that point on, Dylan is the main character aside from Ripley, and he gets the heroic sacrifice at the end. So it almost felt like they could have been two characters, but then it could have been one character, and then I guess they split them into two for some reason. I mean, what value did he add? It was because of the backdrop of all of the other prisoners all being the same character, having this guy kind of be their moral compass, I guess, and the guy trying to hold things together, especially after the warden is killed, because he doesn't want to be the leader, even though he's kind of the only choice. So there's elements there that are interesting, and I really like the guy's performance. I think he's one of the best performances in the film. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it almost would have, even though I also really like Clemens and I like the performance from Charles Dance, I can't help but feel like the film maybe would have been better served if they were the same character and we'd followed them from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, he embodies like the shared like morality and experience of the prisoners. He's sort of like, obviously he's like the leader of all of them, right? And he's sort of the moral compass, but at the same time, he just kind of embodies the estate of all of their pasts and their beliefs. That's interesting. Do you have any thoughts, Kyle?
Yeah, he's essentially the leader of the group, and I nickname him, he's not called this in the movie, I call him Preacher. And essentially he is a religious figure, leader. But the issue is that he's a double-edged sword, which they could have played with a little bit more. But he gets to a point and he says things that contradict his implied Christian values. Especially, it really rubbed me the wrong way where when they're all gathered and they're having their rah-rah moment of we're going to kill the alien, he literally tells 85, I don't give a fuck about your kid or your wife. Fuck you. Okay, that's an interesting trait of the Holy Spirit there, Dylan. So that turned me off to the character and made me dislike him.
I can't say that maybe I missed this, but I can't say that I read him as a Christian, just as a man of faith. Like it was some kind of, not even religion necessarily, but almost like a cult. Okay. Obviously, there's going to be like crossover with him actually being a Christian, but I just assumed maybe subconsciously that because this is set in the future in the year whatever the hell on planet, I don't know
it could
what.
be something else.
It may not be Christian, but yeah, like you say, regardless of whether it is or isn't Christianity, if he is, I guess embodying the idea of redemption, he knows he's done horrible things and he's trying to atone for his sins by keeping everyone else in line, then it is a little bit strange for him to be so callous with 85.
Yes. Cold and callous. And I like that you said that. It makes me second guess what are these beliefs in the system that they're following. There's self-sacrifice implemented into it some way and somehow, because that's exactly what he does at the end, So
I think
I'm not something Ripley is having in this movie right now. She's
at the funeral. I'm pretty sure he like recites some verse, like biblical verse. I'm pretty
You
sure.
may well be right. I'm going to
feel
double
like I
check.
recall that.
Yeah.
I might be having a
I don't
brain
know what
fart.
it was, but
I thought he wrote
guess
that
that's the
himself,
tie.
but that would be good to double check.
Yeah, I don't know what the
Yeah.
line is, but it sounded biblical, but maybe it wasn't, right?
Right.
Yeah, they don't like mention Jesus or anything like that. So interesting.
Although they do use his name as a profanity, which I hold
there
this
you
movie
go.
against. Yeah. So fuck them for doing that. So they have these religious figures and they're very devoted to it, but yet at the same time they will blaspheme Christ's name. Got it. Okay.
That's
more
how it works in
contradictions.
movies. That's how it
More
works in movies,
contradictions,
Kyle.
guys. Okay.
Yeah, it's all okay. No.
Yeah,
I agree
it's
with you.
hypocritical, is what
Yeah.
it is.
That's how they
And
always
not
do
enough
it.
people call it out. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm so disappointed in like Daredevil with Matt Murdock. You know, I mean, he's a Catholic and he has sex before marriage all the time. And it's like, come on, man. It's like finally you give us a Catholic superhero and then he's doing this. It's like, can you please give us that at least? Can he just not be sleeping all the time? You know, like it's not that hard, but they don't, you know.
No, but it
Hollywood,
was
they don't
hard.
care.
That's the whole point.
They
dude.
don't care. Yeah, they don't care.
No.
Nobody cares. There's no respect. So, yeah. Let's move on. We'll move on to the next chapter here. So, because this one isn't very exciting, we're about to get towards the end of the film, which definitely picks up though. So, the prisoners, they lure the dog Xenomorph into the foundry using themselves as bait. And there is so many people that die here. Nobody cares. They're all nameless faces, unfortunately. And Dylan, he sacrifices himself to hold the creature inside the lead mold as he gets torn apart as a diversion.
Yeah.
While this is happening, Morse, who's like one of the forgetful characters, he pours molten lead into the trap, which you'd think would do the trick. The alien is plummeted with tons of weighted tons of lead, steaming hot lead, and somehow it survives. It leaps out of the entrapment, and as it does so, it starts lunging towards Ripley. They have the foresight of turning on the sprinkler, which causes a thermal shock within the alien, and it explodes on the spot. Like that was a pretty genius idea. I'm pretty sure it was Morse that came up with that in the last second.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Ripley couldn't even fucking figure that out.
The dope figured it out.
And look, here's another thing that not a lot of people have talked about, at least I haven't heard, is that when the alien comes out of the lead unexpectedly and just flies out of there, he starts going after Ripley, looking like he's gonna fucking kill her, and it's just whoa, now he changed his mind?
Yeah.
What? What just
Yeah, you're
what?
right. Why is it lunging at her? That makes no
Yes.
sense. She's the chosen one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone have an answer about that?
Mm-mm.
No, you're right. Come on. That is cheap.
It's pissed off, and they're trying to suggest that it's smart enough to understand that Ripley did that to it, which it can't possibly know.
How poor
Yeah.
did you guys feel the effects were in this movie? How bad? Scale 1 to 10.
I give
You've
it
gotta-
a 4.
I'd give it like a 4 out of 10, which is low, 40% quality.
I think you've got to differentiate between the practical stuff and the
CGI, like the special, yes.
Well,
yeah,
so-
like the animated effects.
because in terms of like actual CGI, there's basically none in the movie.
They did animate the cracks on the skull at the end. That is CGI.
That
That's
was it. So
CGI.
really,
Yeah.
so the Xenomorph dog, none of that was CGI. It was the puppet the whole time.
It was a rod puppet
Wow.
that was animated essentially using.
It was green screened in.
Exactly. Yes.
That's what looked poor.
The
Yes.
It
wider
was
the
out of
shots, the
place
worse.
in the settings.
It was-
That's why it looked like it was CGI'd.
Because if you were going to do that now, for whatever reason, then you would composite it using a computer. That's not what they did back then, because that just it wasn't a thing. You couldn't do it like that. So yeah, I mean, it seemed like they were trying to do something that they weren't able to do.
Right. The technology wasn't there to serve them appropriately. It's unfortunate because I really like the idea of doing that. And in fact, I think I asked the question, why don't they do those type of effects today where they actually have a real puppet creature and they just animate and comp out the blue rod and the green suited people that are, you can have it on set and you do that effect, because they tried to do it with the, I don't think they ever used the shot, but they did have a puppet that they were using for when it first emerged from the dog/ox, and they puppeteered this thing across the room. And to think if computers were available, what that would look like, because all you do is you just take out the guys who are just in blue or green suits and the rods, and it could look really cool.
Yeah, the example from something like that being done fairly recently, Project Hail Mary, if any of you guys have seen that.
There you go. Great.
course,
Yeah,
they're
great
lucky.
example. There you go.
Because the way that they animated that, it was CG in some shots, but in order to make it feel real and interact with Ryan Gosling, it was essentially puppeteering this thing, and then they were deleted.
Yeah. There's some shots in there that I may have even interpreted as being CGI when they're not.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, that might be the case. I
It's
mean,
like
aside from the
no
qualms that I
cheap
have
boy
with
was
the character
inserted in the
design,
scene.
I have qualms with the character design in that it doesn't have facial characteristics, but the effects are undeniably impressive. Yeah.
Here, like this picture. I mean, this isn't a bad image of the. Actually, this might be a toy.
That looks like a toy.
Are you? Did you grab a picture of a toy?
Well, this was. Well, I don't know. I saw it online. I looked up the Alien 3 Xenomorph. This popped up. That's why it looks so good. This is a toy.
It's a sculpture.
This toy looks great. This is the best shot of the alien in the whole movie, and it's not even in the movie.
Well, let's give a little credit to the movie. That one shot at the close up with the profile of the alien right next to Ripley's head.
Oh,
That is the one shot that there you go.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that is one shot. It's all practical, and there's no reason why it wouldn't be. That cinematically is iconic.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Even from a bad film, which is frustrating because
true.
this feels like a shot. Even growing up in the 90s, I would see it in TV promos when the movie would air, yada yada, when they would advertise it. But it's attached to a movie that is just unfortunate with everything else around it.
I wish I grew up with ads for the old Alien movies in Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
Lord of the Rings.
You would have loved FX. They showed a lot of these
Man.
types of movies.
Would have been so much better.
Yeah.
I should have been a '90s baby. Is that you? Are you a '90s baby?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in there.
Nice. Cool. Megan, I saw her in the chat. She said she was older than random. 1992.
Thankfully, she doesn't have the manly voice. So British manly voice, astute voice.
Astute. Yes. Very intelligent. Very intelligent voice. Great. Well, cool. Yeah, I just thought, I think Ripley, her character, it was definitely disappointing that she changed so much in this. I really thought, I felt like, even though she was kind of hopeless, it's a strange changing character for her because, she isn't exactly a leader, and there's this is such a hopeless situation. She has nothing to live for, as we've said. And, she's in total survival mode, but at the same time, she's kind of like, she's like so hardened as well. I felt like she's not really that vulnerable anymore because she's so isolated by the situation. And it's just sad. This movie's just sad all the way through. And, I keep thinking about, when I think about this, I think of Schindler's List. And I love Schindler's List. That's one of my favorites. It's top 10 easily. And it's like, I don't know, like there's as hopeless, like that's ultimately hopeless, right? But it seems like there is like hope at the end of the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel, of course, the Jewish people will be saved and that horrifying event will end. But here it's like, it just doesn't seem like there's any way out of the conflict. And it's weird. I just keep thinking about Schindler's List because that's one of my favorites, and it's bleak all the way through, but there's like glimmers of hope. And that just keeps coming to mind as I think about this movie, but they're so different. And, LJ was talking about earlier how you need humor weaved in. And I don't think Schindler's List had humor weaved in at all, but that was a great movie. So I don't know exactly how they were able to break up the depressing angle well enough where it's not totally exhausting getting to the end of it.
I think if it's based on historical events, then the rules are different. Not rules is the wrong word, but yeah, especially if you're telling a story about something like that, if you start adding comedy to give it mass appeal, you end up trivializing what's going on, which is something that Michael Bay has been accused of. Like, Michael Bay has made a couple of historical films, and like Pearl Harbor is garbage, but he also did one.
I like Pearl Harbor.
Oh, sorry.
Really?
Well, it is kind of garbage. You're right, but I love it. I got a soft spot for Pearl Harbor.
Well, you know, the way you fix that movie is you take out the love triangle and you just make it about brothers.
I like the love triangle.
That would improve it. I don't think that would fix it. But
I mean, that's an ultimate piece of the puzzle, right? I mean, that's sort of the whole point of the movie, is the love triangle.
I know they were trying to make Titanic with World War II.
You know what's funny? When I watched, because I've probably listened to Pearl Harbor like 5 times over. Not watched, but listened. Because when I make my art, I always like having it on. And it's so tragic and heart throbbing and makes you so sad. And then you watch it, it's not the same experience. But yeah, that's probably why I'm a big fan of that.
Well, maybe you like the score, because the score is good. It's Hans Zimmer's score. And
that's
probably part of it. Yeah.
I said earlier that like a good score is a good way to hack the audience's brain. And yeah, Hans Zimmer's music is always at the very least good, even when he's doing bad movies. Like, I mean, I really like his music broadly that he did for DC, even though there isn't a single good DC movie in my view.
Man, I don't even think about him when DC comes to mind. That's crazy.
Well, like some of the themes that he wrote are memorable and appropriate. Well, yeah, like The Dark Knight. I mean, I wouldn't count those as like DC movies, even though I guess it's the same property. But yeah,
he did the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think.
Did he?
I have seen that movie once. I don't know the score for it, so I could be wrong. Don't know.
Watch those. It's all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Just watch Tobey's Spider-Mans. Don't bother with Andrews or Tom Holland. Just watch the real Spider-Man movies.
Sorry, Toby has no heart. All right.
Yeah. Here, so let me get to the chat real quick, and then we'll move on to the final chapter. Everybody, thank you all for sticking around with us. Let's see here. Mega Spider-Man. I thought Predator Badlands was on Disney Plus because I've been seeing a fair few ads over the last month or so. Is it on there? Don't watch it, Mega. Here's my piece of advice to you: don't watch Predator Badlands. You'll want to turn it off. I watched it. I saw that with my girl and my parents, and my pops loved it. Like, man, or he didn't love it, but he was into it when we were watching it. We were like, how could you like that? It was so terrible. Yeah. And Broken Cow says it's on D+. I like that.
Yeah.
D+.
It is apparently. I just checked. It's apparently on Disney Plus here in the UK as well. So maybe when I am having a good day and I want to bring myself down a bit, I might put on Predator Badlands.
That's a good idea. That's the way to ruin your day. Perfect. Oh, that's good. Ian says 90s was the best time to be alive. Movies, TV shows, toys, video games. Where's my DeLorean? God. Nice. Man, gosh, I wish, man. You didn't have Hot Toys back then, Ian. We have Hot Toys. Give us that. We have good stuff. But man, I love tapes. I love the VC. I'm looking for a VCR, a CRT TV. I'm looking for a small one that has the DVD port and the VHS tape port, and it'll sit in the kitchen, and it'll just be there for a good vibe. You put a tape in there and just let it. You listen to it, and you'll listen to the buzzing, and you'll see the scratchy, crappy, low resolution picture. It'll just be a good vibe setter. So I want to put it there. I got a spot in the kitchen, still waiting because I want the right one. Because I'm not buying 2 of these. I just want one. Did you ever have one of those random?
I had a VCR player that was built like the first TV we had when I was growing up was tiny, like I don't know, maybe a 12-inch screen. I don't know, something like that. And it had a built-in VCR player. That was the first one we had. We didn't get a DVD player until maybe 2001, something like that. We were kind of slow on getting DVDs because I guess we had a lot of VHSs, and when a technology like that comes in, you don't know if it's going to take off.
Yeah.
Not that I was making decisions at that point. I was like 9 years old, but I guess my parents were like, we're not going to buy a DVD player until we know that we're actually going to be replacing the VHSs.
Yeah. Wait, what was it? The laser disc didn't work, right? Is that what it was?
I think it was the
What was it?
HD. It was whatever it was that was competing with Blu-ray. I can't remember what it was called, but it was the direct competitor with Blu-ray, and it died, and Blu-ray took off.
Wasn't there one where it's like they look like a record, but it's not a record? It's like a movie. Big Circle. I think that might have came out before the tapes or at the same time. I don't know what those are called. Anybody in the chat know? Let us know. Oh, Procfile became a new member. Thanks, Procfile.
Nice.
Appreciate that. I haven't had somebody become a member in a long time, so I appreciate that, Procfile. Thanks very much. That's nice of you. Enjoy the videos. Ian says Zimmer's best work was the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Wow. Geez, he's done so many titles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love my favorite Hans Zimmer theme was from what is it called? Band of Brothers. The entrance, like the introduction. Man, I love that. That always gets me. My girlfriend and I, we saw one of those like violin performances, like the candlelight performance. They do a bunch of those around here. And yeah, it was Hans Zimmer's best hits. And there was a bunch of random ones on there. Oh, and Gladiator, of course. Right?
Yeah.
What is that one called? Like Over Victory, or gosh, what was it called? It has a name, but that one, you can't be disappointed in that.
There is a live concert that was on Netflix a few years ago. I can't remember what it was called, and I don't know if it still is, but it was Hans Zimmer live in concert. And he basically was performing with an orchestra, and it wasn't just an orchestra because his music has a lot of like electronic stuff in it. And it was incredible. Like, it's the only time I can think where I've watched a live concert and I was just like, I hadn't finished restringing my guitar by that point, and I was like, well, I'm going to be here for another 2 hours. I'm just literally rewound it and watched it again. It was amazing.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah, it had, I don't know if you guys will know the name, but Guthrie Govan, one of the best guitarists on the planet, was playing in the orchestra with him. And there was a video that went viral of him doing like a guitar solo section during the Man of Steel theme, I think it was. And yeah, it's amazing. He just went through all of his best themes.
That sounds cool.
It's probably on YouTube, honestly, but I haven't watched it.
What's his name? Guthrie
Govan. Govan. But the Hans Zimmer concert is probably on YouTube in full. But originally it was on Netflix.
Man, that's sweet.
Hans Zimmer is one of the best composers of all time, hands down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He's awesome. My favorite, I love Danny Elfman, John Williams. I think John Williams, strictly, I love the Schindler's List soundtrack. My gosh, that one really hits. And then, like, when we watched Passion of the Christ, man, the music in there is really just unbelievable.
So John Debney, I think, who did that.
John Debney.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, those are great pieces. Make a Spider-Man box office brawler. What do you guys think of Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor from Doctor Who, in this? Oh, is that Charles Dance?
It's not going to be Charles Dance. No, if he played Doctor Who, I would know.
Wonder who he's talking about. Paul McGann. Yeah,
I'm not a Doctor Who fan, so I can't help with this.
Yeah, sorry, Megan.
Neither can I.
Don't know. And yes, we would love to have Random back on in the future if he ever wants to join us to talk about Resurrection. That'd be great. I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, the good news is that I don't think
give it some time to breathe.
Yeah, it won't be as vehement takedown as Alien 3 has been.
Wow,
for me.
All right, well, that's good to hear. Cool. Oh, real quick, we'll just say hello to. Oh, there it is. Now we are free. That's the Gladiator theme name. That's a good one. And yes, we're doing good, Procfile. Thanks for joining us. But I appreciate you being a member, Procfile. Oh, and Rebel Rose is here now. Hey, boys. What's up? Thanks for joining us. Cool. Awesome. Well, let's get to
I just checked. Sorry, the reference that was being made with Paul McGann is he plays Golic in Alien 3, and he also played the 8th Doctor. That was the link that I didn't know.
He's the one in the end.
He's not the one in the end. That's Morse.
He's the acolyte to the alien who frees it.
Well, that doesn't happen
in the assembly cut.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Well, I told you, I warned you guys, I would be talking from the assembly cut.
Didn't I tell you we were watching theatrical?
No, you actually didn't. No, you didn't.
No, my bad. Sorry. It doesn't hurt to have the different perspectives. I know I told Random theatrical. We talked about that early on. But
Yeah, this is more well-rounded this way.
You're right. This is better. Different perspectives. Let's get to the final chapter here, though, everybody.
This screenshot is from the assembly cut, motherfucker.
What? No, I saw this in the theatrical cut.
Eat your words.
No.
Yes,
I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I know I did. I remember.
Okay, but are you sure because this is exactly what she does when the alien doesn't come out of her chest. Because the rest of the most of the way she's grabbing onto the alien as she's falling.
I've seen her with her arms out. I know I've seen that before.
Okay.
Is that just an assembly cut thing, or maybe
random? Do you have the file of the theatrical? Can you confirm this?
I'm literally watching the scene as we speak.
I will admit when I'm wrong. I will not be an arrogant prick like a lot of people have said I am.
Wait, so you're saying in the assembly cut it doesn't come out of her chest when she's going in?
That's why
then I'm wrong.
Wait. Let's listen to random. He's looking at it.
So the reason I have the answer here, but before I tell you the answer, the reason why they made that change is so that resurrection would make sense. Because if the alien pops out, I'm not going to get into resurrection, but if the alien pops out before she dies, then resurrection can't happen. So, who was saying what? Because I need to say who's right.
Kyle was saying that this was the theatrical cut, and I said no, this was the assembly cut.
No, I'm saying it's the assembly cut. You're just fucking around.
Yeah.
Okay. You're right.
Kyle is correct. This shot is only in the assembly cut because in the theatrical cut, you only see her very close up, and then the creature comes out, and then she's holding it. She never has her arms all the way out like this.
Okay, I've seen this picture many times, so that must have been why I mixed it up.
Really?
Yeah, you bask in it, boy. You bask in it. Enjoy it. I'll get you good for that one.
I got my cinema brain. I'm not great at everything in life, but I got my cinema brain. I have a visual memory to things that I look at movie-wise.
That's good. We all do here, thankfully. So, but you beat me there. I'll give you that. Credit to you. So, in this chapter, the final chapter, Weyland-Yutani, it arrives. Yay, the rescue team is here for totally great purposes. No, not correct. They want Ripley because she has the specimen. And even better yet, Bishop is here. What? Bishop? This guy, he's supposedly the real Bishop. He's the guy that the Bishop model was based on. And he's trying to talk her off the fence and or off the ledge to join them. And, it's really sad. It kind of plays at her heartstrings a little bit. It's kind of one of the few moments where we see her kind of wrestle within herself, like mentally to succumb to Weyland-Yutani or to succumb or to go against her intellect and what she feels inside herself. But ultimately she chooses to go with her gut, which was the right choice. And it's kind of suggested that this was not a real person. This was another synth. At least that's what I thought. And obviously he was just trying to manipulate her. It's not the real Bishop. It was sad seeing him like pulling her heartstrings like that because she finally became fond with Bishop. But, as taking a final sacrifice to preserve the world of the alien race, she throws herself into the furnace with the erupting queen, as seen in the theatrical cut, as it lunges out of her chest, not in the this cut. So there we go. We learned that.
Yeah, okay. All right, bro. You're welcome. All right. You can stop thanking me. Okay.
So I really enjoyed this last sequence. This was the best part of the whole film for me, this ending. I thought it was just interesting. Finally, something interesting happens other than the very beginning and then the very end. I think it's an interesting tie to the end of the film to cap everything off and to close the story, which is really sad and stupid really overall. Yeah. But I'm wondering, like, how much value did Bishop's final appearance add to the ending here?
I don't like it at all.
Oh, you don't like it at all?
No, I like that this is how Ripley goes out, and I like the death scene. I guess regardless of which version it is, because there is a slight difference because the alien comes out or it doesn't. Yeah. I think I would lean towards preferring the version where it comes out, where she's literally holding it and taking it to its death. Yeah. But then you could also say that the version where that doesn't happen, she is still doing that, and you have the question of how much time did she have? whatever. But Bishop being there is insane because the justification, whether it's actually, human Bishop or robot Bishop, is that the company wanted to send a friendly face. How could they have possibly known about Ripley's friendship with Bishop in Aliens? There's no way. Given the time frame involved, this is taking place a couple of weeks later, and even if it was 50 years later, why would there be any record of her being friends with Bishop?
I have a suspicion. Maybe they were monitoring the EEV or on the Sulaco, their communications, their interactions, and that came back and they just monitored them.
Not bad for a human. Like they heard that.
So I because it's the future and we obviously know about mass surveillance in the real world right now, I wouldn't put it past Weyland-Yutani to be able to do that and to have constant surveillance on their ships.
I mean, yes, but then like travel time, not travel time, communication time is a thing in these movies.
Okay.
They do that in Aliens pretty clearly, and in Alien actually, but in Alien 3 they're a lot more vague with it because they suggest that, I think it's in the Bishop scene actually in the junkyard where Bishop is like, oh well, yeah, all the information got just zapped back to the company. Like,
sure.
How long did that take?
I would say I have less of a problem with that instantaneous information relay of recordings compared to the gestation period of the facehugger that they're just fudging back and forth in this movie and in future ones. So you got to pick and choose the poison, I suppose. But I don't have to pick either. So this is nice. Can I have a suggestion actually of how how I would have, if I was given the script and I was told, here's the script, you can't change anything else but the ending. This is what I would have done. I would have shown Ripley in a desperate situation. She's distraught. She's in a trauma state. And when Bishop shows up, the real Bishop, because he's actually human, when he gets struck over the ear, it's hanging off his head. He's really bleeding. She wants to believe that this is someone she can trust. And so when that happens, she has a breakdown in tears and finally mourning. Yeah, we're paying off something that she didn't show earlier when she didn't have a moment talking about Hicks. She didn't have a moment. She kind of teared up a little bit when she was looking over the body of Newt. Get rid of that then. And that's easy you just edit that out, right? Where she's just being cold and calculating, finding out if Newt has the alien in her chest. So in this third act, you show her breaking down and maybe even telling Bishop how they died horribly and how she was affected by that. It's like, they're dead, Bishop, they're dead. Maybe she's in that trauma state where she's talking to Bishop as if that's the android Bishop. So she's kind of delirious and shit, sleep deprived. Telling him that, she died alone. She died alone, Bishop, drowning in her pod, etc. And she couldn't save her. You can picture Sigourney Weaver doing this performance. You can see it. You can visualize it on the catwalk, and the fire is just, roaring behind them, and it's intense. Right then is where she can collapse from exhaustion. And that's when we cut to, she awakes. She's in a medical bay. She's had the surgery. She's in restraints. And she finds out that they kept the fucking alien.
Oh.
And that's how you end the movie.
Oh, that would have been better. That's better.
If only.
That would have made for an interesting sequel. There you go. Alien 4.
Well,
why not?
Start writing, Kyle.
Well, but the problem is she doesn't want to be in anymore. Remember? She wanted to die. So that's why.
Well,
that's probably
until
why
they did Resurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's well, I'd be kind of spoiling it, but yeah. Let's just say this is Sigourney Weaver's, as this Ripley that we know is this is the last one. And this is how they went out with it. So I think it was a huge multiple missteps.
So you really think that was a human? That was the real Bishop? I thought seeing his ear was a sign that he was a synth because his ear was like, his face was sort of peeling off a little bit.
Would it not have been milky then?
I don't know. I guess I didn't look at it close enough.
In the theatrical cut, his ear is hanging off, and you don't see any blood or like milky droid goo. So that to me is suggesting that it could be either, but is probably a robot. If in the assembly cut you can see blood, then that's conclusive. It's the real thing.
Wow, so you see
Yeah.
blood in the assembly cut.
Pretty
I don't
sure
know,
because he's.
can't
I
remember.
think that I'd have to compare, but from the impression that I got, they really emphasized how much his ear was hanging off, and he even had a moment where he was just, oh shit, it's like
Oh, I
it's
think
hanging
you're
off
right.
his head. So, and it works either way. If he's a synth or a human, my pitch remains the same. It doesn't matter.
What do you think, like, of all the...
I just
Damning-
double checked. So the assembly cut, you're absolutely right. You can see blood. The assembly
Okay,
blood.
interesting.
The assembly cut
You're not
shows.
tripping balls.
Yeah, he's like in a lot of pain. He's holding his ear and he's bleeding a lot. Whereas in the
Oh, crap.
theatrical, he's not at all.
Oh, that's a shame to hear that the real Bishop is a total douche. Like, I love Bishop, and then, it's like the human version of him actually is a total douche.
Yeah, and I think even though I like Lance Hendrickson, his performance there is giving off way too much
Evil.
menace to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell that he's lying because he's being too just
Forward.
Let us take that out of you.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Only a villain fucking does this gesture, okay? So, no. He could have played in the version that I pitched. I would have told the actor, I would have told Lance in this massive hypothetical we're talking about right now, is, dude, you play this straight. You play this as if you are her friend all the way, and that's what will make this sudden twist after she wakes up and you completely betrayed her. You took the alien out, that much more satisfying and a betrayal.
It could have been interesting. They could have ran with it more. It'd be funny if she killed him. That would have been interesting.
Well, 85 tried to. He's the one who whacks him over the head with the pipe.
That's right. Yeah,
and
of course.
they fucking kill him. They shoot him, and that is the only death in the movie that actually affected me, even more than Clemens. I felt for that guy. He has a family, and he tries to fend off or
That's true,
defend
yeah.
Ripley, essentially,
That's
get back at this guy who he's learning is a villain essentially and doesn't have their best interest at the heart, and he whacks him over the head. Not a wise thing to do because what are you going to accomplish there, but the fact that he did it from a good place made me feel for him. And when he falls and ricochets off walls and shit and falls down onto the ground and his eyes are wide as he's dying, I think that's the most harrowing
crap.
death in the movie.
That's definitely an assembly cut because I think it was pretty brief in the theatrical.
Yeah.
It is
Okay.
that.
So on the whole, yes.
Yeah.
Like everything that I mentioned that is related to the assembly cut, it does make it better. It does make it a little bit better. And I would recommend you guys watch that one if you're going to watch this movie.
No
and
way I'm
anyone,
watching any
and
more of this.
audience members, if you're going to watch this movie again or if seeing it the first time, the assembly cut is the better version of Alien 3. It is.
I always like talking about the theatrical when we do these streams because it's like, watch it the way it was first released, right? That's the most organic form of watching something, right?
There are exceptions.
Yeah.
There
Well, Lord
are
of the Rings,
exceptions.
clearly. Yeah.
That's
the best example.
with Lord of the
come
Rings, I
on.
would
Yeah,
argue,
random, you go ahead because you've
no.
studied those a lot closer than anyone else.
regardless of which one is better, I think that for a new viewer, if I was showing someone the Lord of the Rings for the first time, I would show them the theatrical versions first. Because there is quite a lot of stuff in the extended that I like. I love it, but it's not there to make the film better, if that makes sense. And watching, a 4-hour-long cut of Return of the King for a first-time viewer is probably too much.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I'd be curious. I guess we'll try it on Luke. We'll watch.
Yeah.
We'll watch the extended editions, 4 hours each.
Hang off the deep
practically.
end. Woo.
Yeah.
When you do that, are you going to do reviews for it?
Oh, I don't know.
Are
Maybe
you-
we'll talk about them
Hey,
eventually. I don't know.
I'd be
Probably
down.
Not for a while.
That would be epic. Real quick,
Yeah.
I just want to random. What is, do you think, to you, the best of the trilogy in Lord of the Rings? Which movie?
Extended Fellowship is my favorite movie.
Yeah, I
Nice.
love Fellowship. Yes.
I'm on the same page. I love Fellowship the most out of the three. There's just something about the tonality, the visuals, the contrast of how it starts off and then it goes into a darker territory at the end. That dynamic in that movie is so impressionable, and I remember seeing it in the theater, just being swept away by the thing.
Yeah,
Love the Fellowship.
I could talk about Lord of the Rings forever, honestly.
And you are. Everybody
Yeah,
check out his channel. He just had a 2-hour video, is that what you said, about the prologue?
It's about it happened to work out to be exactly 10 times longer than the scene in the movie. So
Yeah, it's about an hour.
It's a 7-minute scene that I talk about for 70 minutes, and it happened to be exactly 70 minutes. That wasn't planned.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Great.
So
It's good.
yeah,
man.
I mean, if I end up covering the whole trilogy at that pace, then I'm going to have about 140 hours of video, which I don't think that's going to happen, but it could happen, I guess.
All right, guys. So what are your final thoughts about Alien 3 before we wrap up, boys?
3 out of 10.
3 out of 10.
I don't recommend it. So, but if you are going to watch it, do the assembly cut.
I now own it, so I might as well.
You own it? Did
I
you buy it?
accidentally. It was only $199. It went from 20 to $199 on Prime.
Wow.
So I got
to
it.
own.
Yeah.
Wow. Nobody
great.
wants it. They don't even
Yeah,
want the
yeah.
digital copy.
I mean, okay, since I haven't seen Aliens, I don't think it's fair for me to rate it as low as a 3. I'd probably say a 5. I'm gonna stay
Okay.
right there in the middle.
What would I give it? Brawler does not recommend, and Brawler gives a. I give it a 4.5 out of 10. Yeah, 45%. There were segments I enjoyed. I kind of liked Bleak, but I can only take so much Bleak, and it was too much.
You want the David Fincher that comes later, not
yeah.
this one.
Not this one.
Yeah.
What about you, Random?
I would give it a generous 5 out of 10. I generally rate pretty harsh. I think that there's enough in it for me to say that there are bits in it that I genuinely like. I think that the film is probably overhated, but I definitely do not like it. Overall, it is such a mixed bag, and there is more bad in it than good, for sure.
I'm actually taken aback by the various people that we're connected to, and in here, guys, is that I'm the only one that really rates this the lowest out of anyone else. With Hard Cut, they're doing their own series of Alien videos, and those guys are they have a high standard, and even they gave it fucking like 5 or 6 out of 10, and I'm just I gave yes, and I gave them a comment. I said I'm shocked that you guys gave this that.
The problem is that you've got to, I mean, it depends on how you do your scale, but if films like Alien versus Predator 2 exist, you've got to leave room at the bottom of the scale for movies like that. And like in my mind, I haven't seen AVP 2 in a very long time, but in my mind, there just is no comparison. One of them is a movie, the other one isn't.
So it's like, it's so bad, it's not even a movie.
Pretty much. Like,
wow, I gotta see that.
Especially with regard to like, we talked about like the script and the writing and all the rest of it, but like, this is a well-made movie. It's well shot. It's decently edited. The music is very good. The acting is broadly very good. AVP 2 is like probably like at best a 2 out of 10 in any single department. You can't see what's happening. It doesn't have characters. At the very least, this film's characters, like the moment that we were talking about earlier with Junior in the assembly cut, like that is better than anything in AVP 2. But maybe I'll get a newfound love for AVP 2 if I rewatch it, which I do not plan to do unless we end up doing one of these for it.
Random, I gotta disagree with you about it being as well shot as you make it seem to be. You remember the squeeze shots, these random squeeze shots of these in the movie? These cutaways
the bits.
If my recollection, at least I'm talking about the assembly cut, and it must be a carryover from the theatrical cut. Do you guys remember these random shots where you would see the frame like squeezed, unnaturally squeezed with, cutaways and objects of a few shots?
I can't. I mean, I know what kind of shot you're talking about, but I don't recall seeing that in Alien 3. It could be an assembly cut editing thing. I don't know.
You just remember it being for the POV of the alien running through the.
I know that the POV shots have like a different. I don't know what because I don't know cameras, depth of field maybe, I don't know, but they have a different look to them. Apart from that, I didn't notice anything funky going on. But you may well be right. I don't know.
Yeah, I stand by the rating. I think it's a generous 3 out of 10, actually.
Proctfile says $2. What factors do you guys consider in your ratings? Let me start real quick. I think for me, I think of let's see. I think of like the entertainment value, how entertaining it actually is. Like as a personal note, because at the end of the day, you watch a movie to be entertained, and this movie was not very entertaining.
It's not fun. It's not fucking fun, man. At all.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
You can be entertained and not have fun, though. You know what I mean? Like Schindler's List. That's not fun at all.
I wouldn't call that entertaining.
That's engaging rather
than engrossing.
Okay, engrossing. All right. Well, so I'd say entertainment value. I'd say production quality. Camera work. The music, how good the music is, and how if it's inspiring, if there is the performances, obviously, which are really stale in this, and just the story as a whole. If the story is a high quality story or not that you can get attached to and get lost in. And this movie, unfortunately, doesn't excel in any of those factors, thus lending to a 4.5% rating, or 4.5 out of 4.5 stars out of 10. Yeah, what about you guys?
If I'm sorry, someone else go. My dog is trying to break something. I'll be 1 sec.
Luke, go.
All right, I'm honestly just rating it 5 out of 10 because I dislike the beginning, but I like the ending. I haven't seen the second one. That's about as good as I'm gonna give it. I'm not gonna give it any higher or any lower.
But if I'm not mistaken with Proctophile's question, what factors do you consider in your ratings? Is that a broad question, or is it for this movie in itself? Because he goes on to say, but does it have to be entertaining to be good?
I don't.
So that sounds more broad.
I think he's talking about in general. What number? How would you work out?
I think your rating should consider the personal or the effect it has on you. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that fair to put that in your rating? The impact it has on you as a viewer, or is that not? Should that not be factored in?
It depends on what kind of movie it is. When you have a historical drama such as, Saving Private Ryan, etc., something of that ilk. You have excitement in Saving Private Ryan. You have engrossing moments. You have drama. I wouldn't necessarily label it as entertaining. Alien 3 doesn't have enough engrossing moments in it because there are repetitive aspects to it. The characterizations aren't good enough. They have some great actors in it that they waste. The biggest one of all is Sigourney Weaver is given a script where she's just a suicidal character, and that's just so hopeless. And why the hell would anyone want to watch that as a follow-up to Aliens and enjoy that? There was a possibility to make a darker Alien 3 and not kill off Hicks, not kill off Newt. Maybe the only one you do is get rid of Bishop because he was an information reliability factor, and then you would need to get rid of him, in another version, kind of related to the suggestion that I had for the third act. But my third act pitch was in the context of if Hicks and Newt still got killed off. So I was quartering myself to where, if I had no choice but to change nothing else but the ending, that would be my suggestion, to have her live and be betrayed and get in a desperate state of she tries to trust this real bishop, and she gets betrayed. And that would be the precursor to Alien 4, which could take place on Earth, could take place somewhere else, etc. You could do so many things to choose from, right? So the standard of why I rate it as a 3 or any other movie is, what is the version, what is it, comparing, like, is there a better version of this movie? Did they accomplish the best version of whatever they were setting out to do? You know? Yeah. And they did not, because the proof is in the process of the way they made this movie, which was just a hectic mess of a production, pre-production, and post-production. It was dead on the scene, essentially.
Good run. You got thoughts real quick, Random, before we wrap up?
Yeah, very quickly, going from top to bottom, I guess. If the film is extremely well made and I can't really fault it, but I just was not particularly emotionally interested, it's not getting higher than an 8 out of 10. So like a 9 and a 10 would be they have to be films that I care about. So for example, like The Godfather, I mean, I can't really fault it. I just don't really care. And I'm very impressed by it. Something like that, it's getting an 8 out of 10. Okay. A 7 would be something that I really enjoyed and could see myself rewatching. A 6 would be something that I enjoyed but wouldn't see myself rewatching necessarily. So like if I watch a movie and I feel like I didn't waste my time, it kind of defaults to a 6 out of 10. A 5 would be as much good as bad. A 4 is like, well, that was bad. A 3 is like, 3s are where I would generally kind of put something that is things that are like so bad it's good. So like Madam Web, for example, because I can get a lot of entertainment value out of Madam Web, even though it is awful.
Wait, I have a question. Where would you rate The Room then?
That is a very difficult one, because I don't. I mean, if I check my IMDb, I probably gave it a 1 out of 10, because in terms of quality, it's a 1 out of 10. In terms of how much I enjoyed it, it's probably like a 4. So it's difficult to. It's difficult to work out with movies like that sometimes, but yeah. And then if it's the only films that I will give a 1 are either movies that I literally walked out of or turned off, or movies that I mean, it's really got to be movies like on that level of bad. Something where I literally feel like I, with no filmmaking experience, could have made a better movie. So something like, for example, Alien versus Predator 2, I could not have made a better movie than that, because there's a lot of technical stuff in there that I would not have a clue how to do. Something like The Room, I genuinely feel like I would be able to make a better movie than that. I feel like anyone basically could make a better movie than that.
Now, but here's what's unique about The Room. They were able to make that movie. The reason it came out that way is because they were intending to make a good movie. They wanted to make a great movie, or as best that they could. Tommy Wiseau wanted to, and it failed. So that's the reason why that movie is still watched, even multiple times at home and in theaters and midnight screenings, etc., is because it was an unintentional failure. And those are the kinds of bad movies that actually excel. The kinds of movies that intentionally go in to make a bad movie don't work out, because they're self-aware. It's the movies that are not self-aware that they're bad that are the most fun to watch. So yeah, it's completely subjective when it comes to how do you rate a movie like The Room. Is it a 1 or a 10? You have to explain what that means when you give a movie either or. You do have to have a caveat to it, or an asterisk. So yeah, my litmus test for whether a movie is great in its own right, it could be a different kind of great, like how bad The Room is, but when a movie is rewatchable and you've seen it more than 3 times and you go back to it and you're going to go back to it, that's a type of movie that's a 9 and a 10 for me.
There we go. Now you heard the official ranking system, everybody. That's good. Hey, it's deep, right? I need to figure out my ranking system a little better. I don't really rank much, except when we do ranking videos. But yeah, just individually ranking each movie based on its own merits. Yeah, I got to figure that out. So that was informative. Nice, guys. Thank you all for watching tonight. We appreciated y'all. Be sure to check out all of these wonderful channels here. Check out Random Film Talk and Kyle Corwith. I saw Kyle when I typed in Box Office Brawler on YouTube, and it's funny. It showed me, and it showed your account, and it said like a playlist, like Box Office Brawler. I liked that. I was like,
if you go to my homepage, I have there's a playlist for each majority of appearances that I've gone on to different channels.
Yeah,
so it's at the bottom of the page.
Yeah,
so
it's great. Yeah, sure. So I appreciate that. It's nice, nice seeing that. But yeah, check them all out. A lot of fun to be had with these guys. A lot of good content, and it's always a pleasure having you guys on. I appreciate your time as always, and we always get into it. Here we go. 3 hours, 10 minutes. I did not think we were going to go on this long about Alien 3, but
I had a sense that this would happen, dude, and I appreciate it. And thanks for having us on. And this was I think it was a great conversation, and it was. We got to the nitty gritty of the thing, and this is great. Yeah.
Yep. So I am now on my way to see Hokum for the second time, everybody. I love Hokum.
You're in love
I'm going
with
to
this
see
one.
it with Ty in theaters right after the stream.
You're on your way to
I love it,
your rewatchability and being
I know.
a 9
I can't
or
remember the last time.
10 out of 10.
I cannot remember the last time I wanted to go to a theater to rewatch something.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign. So that
Very good
means
sign.
it's definitely over a 7 random, right? I think that was your criteria, a 7 out of 10 to rewatch.
Well, not necessarily, because there are some movies that I do rewatch that I know are not great. But if it's something where I'm like, if it's something where I watch it and I'm like, I enjoyed that movie, could I see myself rewatching it? Is the difference between a 6 and a 7 for me. Like,
and rewatching in theaters, that's got to be a higher number. I mean, that's special. So
absolutely, yeah.
It's got to be a 9, probably a 9 for me. I love Hokum. So yeah, going to see that right now. Next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, we're back to the normal time. We are talking about Apocalypto, Mel Gibson's Apocalypto, and Benjamin Slack is going to be joining us from the chat. And another
Benjamin has been a guest on many videos of mine for Fireside Chat, and
I finally got him on, Kyle.
Yeah, he's a professional actor. And he's a lover of movies. He's no bullshit. Like, he's all in. This is his life. Like, you're having somebody on who is very well entrenched in movies.
Yeah, good, great. It'll be awesome. So it'll be a real pleasure, and we appreciate you all watching as always. We appreciate your support. It's very nice. We always like talking to you in the chat. Please, if you haven't subscribed to me yet and you're new here, I'd greatly appreciate that. Give me a sub and give us a thumbs up. And we appreciate you guys. We'll see you next Tuesday. And never forget, give him the Duke, give him the dog.
Person are you? Are you the kind that sees signs, sees miracles? Or do you believe that people just get lucky?